welcome to our 187th episode of Gorilla Radio. Mike's still jamming, so we
I like our
are.
intro song.
Yes, got a good thud to it. So a lot of good bass. You can play that when you're in your car and just annoy everyone else beside you, right? So
They like that.
this is gonna be a fun episode. I have a feeling this could be 2.5 hours of fun talk. It's pre-Christmas, so everyone. I did my Christmas shopping yesterday, so
Man, I seen Dave Doster's done with the Christmas shopping. Now he's smoking old fashions.
nice.
Seen Glenn Baldwin in the house. Yeah, we got a lot of our Christmas shopping done too.
Nice.
Kim did most of it.
Kim did most. Nice.
But that's awesome for me because I'm surprised when the girls open gifts too.
yes, it is. That's what I feel like.
Hopefully no youngins are watching and not finding out today that, there's no Santa.
There's no Santa. What? Yeah, so we...
Man, that's the second hardest news we had to break in the last 24 hours.
Second, yes. Wow. We're starting hot here. Yes. Let's see. Make sure my the comments are coming up. I might have to redo this one because I did not save it. Yep. Okay. Just give me a second as we get our comments on here because it's more fun with comments.
It is more fun. I'm sure there's going to be some comments. I'm sure we're going to have some interesting opinions.
Yes. Oh, yeah. There were quite a few opinions.
A lot of results from the weekend.
Yes, some big-time results. Let's see. Let's test this out now. Test 2. Oh, there we go. Hey, there we go. Oh. Jake Rebone's, we broke the news to him. Okay, let's see. Let's put that there.
I'm the Grinch of Christmas this year. No, yes. I'm not. Honestly, I'm not.
Yeah, it was Dane and Rex who were the one that had to tell everyone. I mean, to the worldwide audience.
I'm not gonna lie. Like Dane and Rex have like the happy coaches on. I thought we should have had the angry coaches on. I want to the teams that were on the bubble. And, I want to get there. Let's give them an opinion. I just don't know if we have enough, lag in the thing so we can beat people out. Cause, man, that was man, they did not like that come out. You're right. We did come out hot.
Yeah.
Happy 2-pound allowance.
It's not yet. You got 2 more days. So, if the people that wrestle the ECIC, oh, boy, I would not like my coach right now. They had the ECIC today, man. 2 days before. Oh, man, you could just see that 2-pound allowance. You're like, oh, come on.
Did the Carnahan end up having a pound? Because I don't think Penn and Lowell wrestled that day before. I think they wrestled 2 days before.
There's no laws in those types of tournaments. We were just I was talking to Greg Ratliff today, and he was at a tournament. So he's like, "This Sunday tournament stuff's crazy." It's like we have these tournaments all weekend long. He's like, "There's no laws here. The only rule is there are no rules." Like Indiana is like, you can't even look. Like wrestlers from other schools can't even say hi to each other, or it's like a violation. There, it's like, whatever. You can practice with another team 5 times.
Really?
Yeah,
I
full practice.
Trying to get guys pulled out of state for that.
Yeah.
I believe it, Rex. If my phone was going crazy all night, and I'm sure Dane's phone was going more crazy.
Yeah. So that's why no one has my phone number. Maybe I'm gonna change my phone number. I got my Harambe gorilla sweater, so that's his.
I was thinking. I don't know if it's. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to tell everybody either. I don't know if everyone knows who's on the voting committee, but I've been pretty open. I know Dane obviously has been open about him being on the committee and myself being on the committee. And I was thinking today when I was at work, I was like, I wonder if no one else is really knows who's on there. It's a secret.
I thought they've named them. I thought I've heard them tell kind of who's in it. So I mean, it doesn't. I mean, we can let those. It's just like the Hall of Fame vote. If you want to release your vote, you have every right to do that. And I think it's cool when I see people's votes, and I'm like, I saw the one Cubs person Cubs reporter, she like released her vote, and people were ripping her and stuff. I'm like, hey, it's her vote. She at least she has
Her All-Star vote?
no her Hall of Fame vote. And
Man, I hate the Hall of Fame vote sometimes. Like when they're like, well, so and so didn't get unanimous, so I'm not going to vote for them just because. Like,
yeah.
you should lose your vote.
Yes, exactly. If someone didn't vote for Ichiro, they
Brett
need
Smith,
to be taken away.
Brett Smith, don't share that, man. We don't want those guys to be on the angry list.
Yes.
He's
So yeah, tell us a little bit about what goes on in the meeting, since the meeting of power. Is it like the meme that I created a few years ago and has vanished in the ether of the interwebs?
Man,
R.I.P.
100%. Nothing as good as that. I would say that's probably, man. Like how long we've been on the site for? 17 years, 16 years.
Yeah. I
would say that's probably one of the times I felt like maybe I would need to take a break. Like when all that was happening, I think that was one of those times I was really, really upset for no reason. I had people say they don't have any dog in the fight. I truly have no dog in the fight. But if the Calumet Warriors were up, I'd be fighting for those guys for real. But I don't know why I was so angry that year. No, that video was great. I hate that it's gone.
Yes.
It fits so well.
Maybe that'll be my Christmas job, is to try to see if I can pull that out of thin air. I know, I mean, the link's on the website. We just gotta, I'll work on that.
It'd be a Christmas miracle.
Yes.
So like what goes into it? So part of it, like, and I don't think, maybe people don't understand, and I know people don't understand, honestly, is like you have to like kind of submit your information to Dane or Greg Ratliff to be in consideration. And anyone could do it. Like you don't have to be the best team or the worst team. If you're a team that didn't get in the original point system, I guess I don't know. I can't explain the point system, honestly. No. We would need to bring Maligned on.
And you wouldn't understand it.
Nah, because I don't understand it, but he does a good job and it's pretty accurate. But so like the teams that are in the vote-in, we've expanded the vote-in in the last couple of years. 1A gets 4 teams voted in. 2A usually gets 4, but Leo dropped I think the day of, or we got told the day of, so we had to vote 5 in. Man, I didn't wear my Ben Dalton shirt. Next week, I'm gonna have to wear it next week. I knew I forgot something. And then 4A gets 2 teams. So it kind of started a couple years ago. Floyd Central got a vote in, and I think they ran to the finals, and just different things could happen through like Lowell's a prime example of a team that wasn't in, that added a lot of talent this year, that ended up, getting a vote-in process, but that's kind of why those happened. So, which is really cool. The IHSWCA has been pretty good at listening to like the fans or the coaches or whoever, and kind of trying to make the event better. So I think that was a suggestion, and Greg kind of ran with it, man. And it was really cool. So got some coaches together from different parts of the state. Myself and Dane, obviously I said we're both on it. So I was pretty lucky to be included on that. And then I know Dane probably knows the most of any of the team part of it in the state. Like his team rankings are pretty spot on. I know he caught some grief this past week, but I mean, that's part of the gig when you sign up for it, and he has to deal with 14 guys per team, and I only have to deal with 2 parents and an uncle usually. Entire communities, right? Yes. But so you get all as much information as you can, and Joe helped provide some of the information this year. It goes a lot off your dual results, posted to the board. So like you'll have guys that don't post their results, and then they're upset when they don't get in, And I think that's kind of a crazy thing. But then you have teams looking at the comments on social media. They're like, so-and-so didn't get in. I can't believe this. And I hate to like break it to them. Like your coach or admin or whoever submits your information didn't even submit you guys to be in. And maybe you did have a shot, but we understand you have schedules and you have obligations to fulfill. If you don't submit your info, we can't just say, hey, we're going to vote you in off the side. It doesn't work like that. Um, Smarter people than I am have the days where they know where that information needs to be in a deadline or how to get that to people, I think. But I'm just there for the vote.
Is there any future plans sanctioning? I do not believe everything I have heard from the IHSA is they're not going to do it. And something I know someone on the board was talking about, kind of laying out a little bit of a plan of how it could be done with 4 classes. The problem is IHSA has very strict rules. I think we went over that just a few minutes ago, but they also on classing you have to have so many such and such percentage. I think it's 95% of the schools in Indiana have to have the sport for it to be 4 classes. So that means I think it's baseball. Does softball have 4 classes?
They do.
For baseball, softball, and both basketballs. I think those are the only ones with 4. I think there's 408, 405, something like that schools. So it has to be like 375. We're about 50, 60 away from that. So we would be 3 classes, which would be 33% each. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. So it would be not fun.
And honestly, we kind of ruined it, like as a community, right? Like not
Yeah.
maybe the people that are young, but we had a cool team state system. I was on some pretty good teams that were able to compete in those events. And it was really cool. And I know Kai met high school in the late 90s, early 2000s. You can't tell by this gray hair and this gray beard that I'm that old. I know I look young on TV. But we as a community ruined it by sending backup teams and not caring about the event. Not everybody. There was teams that obviously did care about it, but there's a lot of teams that didn't, that they were like, okay, cool, we don't need to do this anymore. And I think the IHSWCA, we haven't always had the most sparkling relationship with them, right?
No.
But they've got something, and they did it to the best of their ability. I think it's become a really cool event.
Oh yeah.
I was just telling Joe off air, like I used to be a detractor when it very first started. Obviously, this whole video that we're gonna dig up and post again, hopefully, was my my anger to that. But now with the way that they're able to do it, I think that they're able to make corrections on the fly, and they're able to do different things like that. I think is really cool. I think that's a really cool way to do it. I would hate to give it back to the IHSA and then have them sell tickets the day of when we can do it weeks in advance or however they want to do it. I'm not trashing them. Obviously, Joe works for them on the low. But
paid employee. I went to their Christmas party
I think
today.
The Coach Association. Huh? You went to their Christmas party today? You and Big Rob. Huh?
Yeah.
I didn't get the invite that time. I didn't get the +1. But I think it's really cool, and I like that they're able to like kind of mold it how it needs to be molded, right? Mm-hmm. It's a system that we have. I think I made a post today about like that's kind of maybe the people are like, oh, Mike's just being sour grapes. He's addressing some things. I think that's a real good system because I'm obviously in that vote. I'm hearing what people are saying, and I don't remember a lot of times where we're like, well, Carroll wrestled the first weekend of the season at an individual tournament. They placed 5th. I don't remember ever having that talk in there. And if you don't have your full team, I understand like some of your schools are really good at football and they're going to be missing guys, and they do take dual results into consideration.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like you said,
I think it's
the Coach Association has done a real good job of modifying things, adding teams, going to that bracket. The pool kind of / bracket thing was a cluster. It was just so hard to follow, and everyone's like, how's this work? And I'm trying to make up graphics so I can kind of tell how it works, and it was never easy. And then adding teams, there's always been some little things. Last year we got a little suggestion about a week before about, hey, why don't you make 3A 12 teams? And Greg probably said some words out loud that we shouldn't be saying on here, but they did it, and they modified things, just everything. Every year they kind of look at things and say, hey, how can we make this better? I think it's great. One question I'm curious, and I know I posed this to you last night by a text, and are we voting in too many teams? That's kind of the one question I kind of have for, because this was the first year we did 4. Previously, they did a vote in the spring with 2, right? And then the other 2, we voted the past few years. We voted in 2 more at the end of this time of year. So, do you think 2 would have been sufficient, or I'm looking at this as I'm looking at the scores right now. Greenfield Central would have gotten in, and Mishawaka would have been the next 2 with point scores. If you go on, and they're both half a point, so they would have been in, and then you would have had to vote in Franklin, Bloomington South, or Lowell would have been the next 3, and so one of those teams would have been out.
I mean, I think, and I did think about this yesterday because when my mind's going, it's hard to turn it off. But I think there's like layers to it, right? Like, yeah, we probably could have did 2 per division, because I think Hanover got in 2A, and I don't know that Hanover was the next team out, right?
Yeah.
In 2A, and then who was the next one after that?
Jay County.
And Jay County was right on. I think they're the alternate. So, yeah, I think. I mean, then you're taking 3 of the teams that were voted in. I think, and that was a 5-1. So,
yeah.
I do think we could have done less, but the other side of that is, and I honestly feel like this is, and you're not making your schedule, you're not trying to make yourself schedule less tough, but teams that like lose guys or are not as good as they were in the spring, or embellish the guy that was out of their lineup that never came back because he's a mall kid now, should probably withdraw, right? I'm not telling anyone how to live their life. And Leo did it. Like, Leo said, hey, man, we're going to give up our spot. And we talked about it a little bit on the Ironman. Like, compete where you need to compete. Like, I don't think you should go there for we said this tongue-in-cheek, but, like, you shouldn't go there for a participation trophy. Like, go there if you think you have a chance to win, right? If you're voted in, you have a chance to win, go there. If you don't, like, go somewhere where you can compete and be there. Like, and I posted last week in the small school, the class wrestling thing. Like, different programs have different expectations for success, different definitions of success, right? And that's across the individual or team part. Like, I mean, to me, and if you had a team that maybe lost some guys, or, you know, it's not going the way you thought it was going to go, or however it's going to go, like, be honest with it. Be honest with it, right? And I'm not going to say that, right? I haven't seen. They're talking about the Jensen Boyd thing. I was there Saturday. It looked pretty bad. I'm not like a doctor, so I wasn't on the mat. I don't want to I'm not going to tell like some breaking news like that. I have no clue. You can read in the comments, but that's not for me to say, right? Yeah. I was there. It wasn't a good scene. It was pretty tough, but I'm sure anytime something like that happens, like, you hope for the best, and maybe he'll be back for the state series. And we kind of talked about, if he can get back by sectionals, there's probably going to be a lot of regional champs and at semi-state that's going to be upset because he can get their default, but
yeah,
I digress.
It does look.
So the
I just found her Facebook post, and she says he's out for the season, so that sucks. I was hoping.
That's good.
We're not here to break. We're not the TMZ of wrestling. I don't know if people we've said that multiple times, but that's something. I mean, obviously, we're not going out there to. I mean, we both have Cody's number. We could have texted him, but that's kind of not fun stuff to deal with right now, and probably not happy. Probably disappointed. Nothing. No one did anything illegal or malicious, and just one of those things that we kind of let that stuff simmer down before we say stuff. And I don't know. It's out of respect for the kids and the coaches and everything. It's just we're not here really to break news. We're here to talk about things and stuff. So, yeah.
And I'm not going to give like health updates of like minors either, too. So,
yeah.
So, are we voting too many teams? It didn't seem. Obviously, there were some hurt feelings at the 4A. We only voted in 2. There's only 8 teams going. It was a coin toss. I don't think if we expanded the field, it doesn't help. If who would have been the next team in at 4A if we just did one?
If you just did one, the next team would have been.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I just had it up. There it is. 4A. And 4A is fine. I think 4A would be fine with two. Penn, but I think they declined. Cathedral got in. Portage would have been the next man in, and then Zionsville was right there point wise too. So if Theo just gone their top 8 based on points, I assume Penn might have accepted if they were presented with it last year, but I don't know. I mean, who knows what Brad Carper's thinking? They're having wrestle offs tomorrow, so they'll put their Al Smith red entries in probably at the meeting. I think they're having wrestle offs on the mats at Mishawaka right before the meeting.
I don't even think they call it varsity 2. They just call it varsity Tuesday and varsity Thursday.
Yes.
They send different teams everywhere. It's incredibly hard to rank those guys.
Yes. And then
Robert's trying to come to my house.
and then yeah. And then they say, "Oh, that kid's JV. Oh, he's wrestled the last 5 varsity matches for you, and done pretty damn well."
Well, I mean, hey man, yeah, good for them to have the depth that they have, honestly, because they do have some really good guys that are not in their lineup year in and year out. Devin said he's getting them in. That's my dude.
Well, I asked Maggart, and Maggart's already brainwashed. He's like, "We're still doing wrestle-offs, man. I don't even know what the lineup is." You know what the lineup is.
Honestly, that's a pretty good Maggart voice. If I closed my eyes, I thought Jeremiah was on. I didn't even know we had guests.
I pinged him in here real quick.
We should get that as like a button we can push.
I'm definitely clipping that one out.
Yeah, so the vote-in part, I mean, I don't know, man. That's tough. Because I don't know. It doesn't really change. I guess this year wouldn't have changed as much because you did have some of the teams that were already like on the cusp of getting in. But I know that in the past there's been times where it's like, you know, this team's, you know, going to withdraw, or then, you know, sometimes they don't withdraw, honestly.
Yeah.
Because they stay in and do their thing. And that's not my place to say either. I'm not a coach.
Yeah, I was
looking at it.
I was looking at it earlier, and I was like, I guess I didn't realize they were voting all for it. And I'm like, oh, geez, that's 4. I was more worried about it from seeing who was putting their hat in the ring, because that's a lot of schedule. I mean, now you're asking 6 to 8. I mean, some of those schools that are saying, hey, I got a schedule opening and I have to change. To change their schedules right off the bat, you know, real quickly, and, you know, deal with their ADs, deal with travel, and there's a lot of stuff they have to do. Hanover Central's hosting the Lake County tournament. And they're like, now he has to go to his AD and like, hey, AD, we kind of have a problem. You know, things like that. And that's not an easy thing for a coach to do. And that's one reason Maryville kind of has stayed out of Team State, and they don't want to deal with the yo-yoing. They like having a set schedule and knowing what their schedule is. And I understand it. I've been a coach. It's not fun to go through COVID when you're changing your schedule by the hour. Oh, this team's dropping out. Oh, we can do this. Oh, that was absolutely a disaster.
They said a team like canceled an event, like on the idea that they didn't get in. I'm not gonna say what team it was, but canceled their like home event because they thought they were gonna get in, and then they didn't get in, and that's kind of it's not that it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for them. It's like you only get one vote, man. I don't get 10 votes. Everyone gets one vote in there. There's not like anybody's vote that weighs more. My vote doesn't weigh more. Dane's vote doesn't weigh more. Unfortunately, Dane wasn't able to be in the voting process. I think he was live on air, which would have been fun to cut in and hear it. Yeah. But he sends his votes in, and I think his word does mean a lot. I think obviously he's as tuned into the team part of it as anybody in the state. And then you have guys in there. And like I said, I'm not gonna be like, Joe's in there and he's doing this. He hates Carmel, so it's not like that. there was never I don't like that guy or this comment. But there's a lot of people in those in that meeting that's wrestled a lot of those teams, so they have an idea of like the depth or how they are. So I don't know if that answered the question of the voting process and
Yeah.
like should we vote more or less in? Probably could vote less. I mean, I don't think it'd be the end of the world, or we can vote them all. Like, what about that? How about we just vote everybody in?
Yeah. Yes.
No, we
Oh,
found
boy.
out Zoom meeting only has a 30-minute timer. We had to cut right in the middle.
Yeah. They. Oh yeah. Rex was trying to find Smoker's phone, or that'd have been a very interesting call because he's not the head coach at Eastside right now. So that would have been a real fun call.
Who was this? I don't know.
We're in Team State. I'm not even their coach anymore. Oh boy, that'd have been you'd have probably had to use the beeping button on WZBD, and you don't have to use that when Bill Hawkins is on there.
Dude, Bill dropped more cuss words in one show than we had in our whole. And hey, man, I take the
186
blame for that. You know?
episodes.
I tried to put the handcuffs on him. It didn't work. Yeah, Reason's a good dude, man. He's in that vote, and I think that he's pretty understanding. Like I said, like those guys all have a pretty good view of what they're looking at, and they've wrestled a lot of those teams, especially in that 3A range, and head to head. Like, dude, I can't stress this enough, and I'm not telling everyone they need to change their schedule. If you want to get in, wrestle teams that are in, or wrestle teams that are around the cusp. I'm sure that those guys feel if they see that you're on the list, they're not going to not want to get you in because they also want to get in. And I know Bishop Chatard did that a couple years ago. I don't think they didn't make it one year, and they're like, hey, let's host like a tournament to like get people in. Like, let's get all the teams that are in, we'll wrestle, and then we'll have all this on our resume. And I think that's the kind of the right idea. I don't necessarily, I don't have it in front of me, but there's teams that I don't feel like wrestled the schedule to get in the past, maybe before I was voting, that I think belonged in by what the results said. To me, as a voter, I want to see that you're wrestling the people and that you're getting on these events, right? I think that you should be competing against the teams that are in there. If you're out there just racking up dual meet wins and you're 25-0 and you have 0 notable wins, and this goes for the individual rankings too. You tell me you're 25-0 and you got 25 pins or 25 bonus points and you haven't wrestled anybody in semi-state or better. If you're a semi-state better watch list rankings, you have a profile in our ranking system. If you don't have that, you're probably just going to get put on the watch list.
Yeah, in that Chatard event, I think that's the one that got Purdue Polytech in. Tell me that didn't get them in. I mean, and I know Morgan was hyping his team up like he always does. He's like, oh, I think we're pretty solid. Okay. And then they beat Chatard, who's in the tournament already, and tell me that's not a good win. They chalked that up. They didn't have to go. They went to a tournament with their level of competition, and I think that helped them, add a signature win to their schedule. And that's a great way to. And there's quite a few events that you can go to try to get a signature win or two. And Greenfield Central, look at their significant wins list. It's ridiculous. And they're like, well, we're gonna find out if we're gonna get in or not. We're gonna know where we are, and that's what they need to do. I think a couple years ago they changed their schedule to do that. Sorry, go ahead.
And I don't think that hurts them either, right? Like, if you're wrestling tough matches, it's probably pretty good for you. And we'll talk about that in probably the next clip, and we try to stay on schedule. But if you're wrestling good teams, it's going to be good for your team. And if you want to get into Team State, it's good for you. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're the 1A bubble team, and I don't even know who, I'm not going to say any names, and you're like, you know who we need to go wrestle? Brownsburg. Don't do that.
Yeah, no.
That's probably not what you want to do. They're incredibly good. I think yesterday I essentially said, like, I'm not looking at any of the Brownsburg's results for anybody that's trying to get in because they're incredibly good. They're going to be shutting out a lot of teams. They're really talented. We get to see them Saturday. So the teams that got in, I know they did on the Dane and Rex Haggard, Hershey, and Hazel High School Wrestling Weekly. I got my T-shirt on under here,
Well, I was just gonna say
the old version.
one other thing, and if you are looking for a, what tournament should I try to get into, you can probably go on
Yeah,
IndianaMat, and we have the schedules, and say, hey, let's find out where Garrett is at. Let's go find out where Bishop Chichard is at, or Adams Central, or Jay County. I mean, I can just name
yeah,
a bunch of teams that, hey, these teams are in team state. Where are they going at these couple weekend? We have an open weekend this weekend. Let's find out where
yeah.
these teams. You're gonna have to do some research, but then you can try to get yourself in those events.
Yeah, and if you don't know how to get in contact with those coaches, like a lot of those guys are on the board. You want to go to, you want to go to the Trikoff, reach out to Calumet Wrestling Coach Jim Watkins. He's right on the board, right by his name. Go back to the Trikoff thing, message him. I'm sure there's a waiting list. Like, get in those events. Like, I don't know if it's always individual events, like I said, that are going to get you in, but like, go find those. The Westfield one. Everybody's looking to do that thing. So
Yeah. So go ahead and list off who got the votes in, and even if you
I have
do,
to go back to my Joe Caprino secret. I was the source. If anybody was wondering who the source was, I was giving Joe the information.
I would, yeah.
1A, Rossville. And Rossville, I thought was an easy. That seemed like a very easy vote in. Like I think everyone felt that they belonged in. I know they wrestled a pretty good Super Duel early on. They wrestled Portage. I believe they wrestled Greenfield Central there also. They have some pretty good guys. I don't know if you heard of this Weaver kid. He's pretty tough. I think he's coming up through the ranks, national ranks. Right?
If he keeps working hard, he might make something out of himself.
That's what I said. Then East Side guy, and then Switzerland County was the second voting on that. They also have some pretty strong individuals. I think a lot of those guys wear Triple B train shirts. We didn't even say that one time during the vote in, and I'm actually shocked that they got in without having to drop Triple B's name. Northfield was the next one. Yeah, I know that. Northfield was the next one. They had a pretty good record. I know that was one. So the last couple were more closer votes. The first two were pretty clean, and then the last probably two were a lot tougher. Those are usually the ones. I guess to that, 1 and 2 were pretty easy. I guess we could have did less votes if we had that. I don't know if those guys would have been in. And then East Side, Prairie Heights, and Central Noble all traded losses and wins. I guess we can say they traded wins.
Yeah.
Like A beat B, B beat C, C beat A. And it was a really tight vote. And actually, I think all three teams ended up getting a vote in there, which is really cool, I guess. And it's not cool for the teams that didn't get in, but it shows what different people in the voting selection process kind of value. So Prairie Heights was the alternate. East Side ended up getting in. I know the Blazers, right? East Side Blazers.
Yes, yep, East Side Blazers.
Very cool.
Butler McDonald's probably going to have a sign out or something. I guess I did get told this weekend that I should not say bad things about the Butler McDonald's anymore.
Why you guys eat that?
I mean, they're putting it in order today. I'll be able to pick it up next Tuesday because it's not very fast.
And Prairie Heights has been in a lot, and they've had a lot of success. That was one, and I like the East Side guys too. I kind of thought I voted Prairie Heights. I'm not like I said. I'll tell people my vote. I just think those, not that the other guys don't compete, but I see Prairie Heights a little bit more than I see East Side. Obviously, we see them at Al Smith. I'm always really impressed. I always walk away like, dang, those dudes are tough. Like, just tough kids. And so they're the alternate. If anything were to happen, which I don't know if it's happening in a week, the alternate is probably more of a good thing when it was like a month out. But that was the 1A vote.
Yeah. Even 1A, you're kind of getting to a point where you're splitting hairs with those first two. I thought Rossville for sure, easy choice. I was talking to East Side coaches I did coach Mr. Garrett Pepple at times and kind of help get his name on the list because some things went down and they were with coaching and stuff. So we,
He's a pretty phenomenal Fortnite player too.
yes, that's what I heard. He's supposed to.
Chief Pet 33.
Yep, we're supposed to. I gotta get hooked up with Rocco with a skin or something. I don't know what the heck that crap is, but I was like, hey, if you get in, you gotta get Rocco some V-Bucks or whatever. I don't know, whatever that stuff is. But so yeah, after that, the next three or like four or five, you could make pretty strong arguments for.
Yeah.
And 1A is such a weird class where it you're looking what I always look for when I'm kind of picking who I think you got to have two or three really good guys that aren't going to lose. Prairie Heights has the Hagwood twins. Eastside has a couple. Yep. They have some pretty solid kids up and down their lineup.
Lincoln Carter.
Yeah, yeah. And so they have some guys that aren't going to lose against 1A. I mean, they're going to beat 99% of the 1A guys. And that kind of stuff is kind of what, and that's Switzerland County has about three or four of those guys too. So that's kind of where, and then you got to see what else do they have filling in? Do they have some guys that, so it's not easy, especially 1A because not very many of them see each other. And if it is, it's the results can't really, it's hard to translate them from one team to another. So I don't think it's egregious, but I always I always vote for my guys from my former stomping grounds, the powerful neck. I like Prairie Heights. They're good coaches, good people. Central Noble takes it pretty seriously. They're very passionate about it, and they've had some pretty solid teams recently. So, but I think Eastside's going to do well. Powered by.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep.
I agree. Your voting process is kind of similar to mine. I kind of look at like how many, especially at the lower classes, like how many like locked in, like will you win these duels? Like if you have 7 guys that I'm pretty sure will win most matches, you're probably going to do pretty well. And one of the voters said, like, let's not leave out teams that we think can win the whole thing. Like I think we almost left Columbus East out one year, and I think they ended up winning the whole thing. And, so, it's an imperfect system, honestly. But it was tough. When you get down to those last ones, it's really hard. I'm not gonna say I lost sleep over it, but like I definitely felt like in there you're having some passionate conversations. You're not like pounding the table and saying I'm gonna quit if this happens, but you're definitely making some points and you're listening, and so that one was tough. So who are the other teams in on there? The other 8?
The other,
off the top?
Bluffton, and they lost to Eastside Central Noble, so they were going to be. They would have to wait for those guys to get in. Central Noble, obviously, Indianapolis Lutheran, Prairie Heights.
No, I mean the teams that are already in the event.
Already in. I'm sorry. Yes, Adams Central, Alexandria Monroe, Milan, North Miami, Rensselaer Central, Rochester, South Adams, and Tell City.
So, I mean, and there's some strong teams in there. Tell City has some strong individuals. Rensselaer has a strong team. I know Rochester has some strong individuals. So, 1A would be a good one. And where's the 1A being held at this year?
It is in always sunny Monroe, Indiana, home of the Flying Jets of Adams Central. So, I know.
Did Rex say that in there? Is he going to be covering it live for WZBD from Adams Central High School?
They're probably going to 2A, I'd assume.
That's probably good. That's probably pretty good.
They might be doing remote, dual remotes. I don't know. I guess Rex will tell us, I'm sure. So 2A, the vote-ins. Obviously, we said Leo relinquished their spot late, and that per sources.
Yep.
So.
Yep, per sources.
Yeah.
Source.
I guess it wasn't plural. Should have been per a source. So, yeah.
2A. Hanover Central was the first team out last year. I think they ended up losing their spot by like tiebreaker criteria, I believe, with New Prairie, right? And New Prairie had like an injured wrestler that was on.
Yes.
So they ended up getting in. And obviously New Prairie added some talent. I don't know if how much they weigh. Like they didn't know. I don't think they knew at that point Devin Kendricks was coming over. They definitely didn't know like Hardo Road was coming over, and like MJ Staples. We had an idea he was going to be there, but he's pretty good, right?
Yes.
Um, so Hanover Central was a vote in, solid team. Coach Bradbury does a great job. I thought that was really good. They're a local team to us. I know he's been putting a lot of work in there. They're more of a team that's solid top to bottom. There's not a lot of holes. Their only losses were to big like the 4A schools, which was like Lake Central beat them like on the last match, Canal last match. Um,
They've lost to
Trying to think who else
Chesterton by
beat them.
1, Lake Central
Yep.
by 9 or 11, and Whiteland by 9. And they beat Hobart,
So
which that's a real good win right there because Hobart's in 3A and having a pretty good year there. So yeah, they
yeah,
did beat Lake Central too. They lost to them and beat them. So
yeah. So and then I went to the Hobart Super Duel, which I think helps a lot. That's and they were telling me this summer that they're getting a lot better, and they're not that like I didn't have to like pound the table for them either. I think it was pretty unanimous. I think it was an 8-1 vote. And those guys were out chasing some big dogs, man. Lake Central is one of the biggest. It's the biggest school in our area. I don't know where they're at state wise. They're not Carmel, but they're pretty big. Chesterton's big. Um, Whiteland's tough, man. I could see Whiteland getting in the next couple of years. They're pretty tough.
mhm.
I think they're young. I think they're starting a lot of sophomores also.
Yeah, Whiteland's had some good wins, and they're pretty sneaky good dual team. And I was talking to someone about them, and I was like, it's kind of hard to figure out how good they are because they go through Mooresville, and
Mm-hmm.
their regional qualifiers are basically semi-state. Is this kid a regional qualifier or is he a semi-state level kid? And that's kind of hard to tell when you're finishing third or fourth in your sectional and losing first round of regional. And that's one of those things that you look at a team like that. That's going to be hard for them to put together their resume and say, well, we go, we go through Mooresville, and people kind of get tired of that. But at the same time, it's true. It's like
Yeah.
how good really are these kids, and
Yeah.
it's not easy. You have
It's tough.
two, you have 3 of the top 5 teams in the state in your regional.
Not bad.
Yeah.
And then we talked about Purdue Polytech. The professor trained, had some very strong individuals. I think they had some guys do a lot of work this summer. That Chittard thing really helped them out.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Chittard for putting that on. I think that's a pretty cool event. Then the last 3 of this, the last 4 teams in there, I think they all had votes. 5 teams. Owen Valley, I know they've been tough the last couple of years. They were the 3rd team voted in, and that was kind of a split vote with Mount Vernon Posey, who's had a pretty good one. So they were kind of split, right? And I think maybe it was a 5-4. And so then obviously whatever team got in the next one, maybe it was a 7-2. So those 4 were in, and then we had the last one, which was Leo's spot that they relinquished. That one came down to there was a lot of votes in there between Crawfordsville, Jay County, and Angola, and all 3 are really good teams. Like that's one of the ones you walk away and you're very much like any of these teams can go in there and compete and do it at a high level. I don't think Crawfordsville has been in yet, right?
Correct.
This might be their first time. Jay County's been a power in there. So I voted Jay County. I think it was like a weird vote though. Like I think for the 4, I maybe for the 4 spot I didn't, and then like I was like, man, like the more I looked at it, I was like, dude, Jay County's probably gonna go in here, and I think they have a chance to win this. They could win it, and it was a close vote, and Crawfordsville got in, and Angola got some votes there too, and Jay County ended up being the alternate. And like I said, it's tough. I don't think anyone's pulling out the week of, but they're a good squad too. Crawfordsville's a good squad. They're pretty solid across the board. I know They have Landon Vaught, like right around 138, 144, and Brandon Hyde, who's a bigger guy. Two guys that were at semi-state last year. I believe they're both ticket rounders. So
Yeah, that should be good, and it is nice to see some different teams in there, and it's like I said, it's one of those things you're splitting hairs when you get down to those guys, and I'm glad to see that many teams competitive and guys, there's teams right on
yeah,
that bubble that you're gonna say that's going to make an impact there and do well. That's one of those things that you always get worried about when you're trying to make your schedules like this late in the game. So the other teams that are
yeah,
in Belmont, Delta, Garrett, Heritage Hills, Bishop Chatard, New Prairie, and Yorktown. So 2A is going to be a lot of fun.
yeah.
I want to do some deep diving into that because I think everyone has some strengths. Heritage Hills has some really good big guys. They have a pretty solid team. They're just now getting people back, after football. Bishop Chatard, could sneak up on some people. New Prairie has some really good kids. We're going to see them this weekend. We're going to see Belmont, Garrett, and New Prairie together this weekend. So that you're going to maybe get a little bit of preview a couple of those matches.
And I'm not like diminishing, and anything happens in sport, right? Like, but New Prairie is running out probably what could possibly be, 4 semi-state champions, and that's not counting Harder Road, who didn't get eligible. Like, it's pretty good. I mean, I don't know, like how many times, like you got a really talented freshman in NJ Staples. Devin Kendrick has been in the mix at Newcastle to win semi-state. He's been a placer and a qualifier. That's a pretty nice addition. Obviously, Jeffrey Hyvert's really good. Takedown record holder, right? I believe he's going for the tech record or something. Is that what they're saying? Is that who they're talking about?
I don't think he's going for it, but it's good. Whatever tech record really there is, there's going to be a tech record this year.
He's really good. If you've seen the semi-state rankings today, like you've seen that he's registered at 144 for the Al Smith. That's a pretty strong move. It kind of makes them 44, 50, 57 pretty tough. 75, they're really good. He had an ACL last year. I think that's the injury that they were getting back. I don't know if it was an ACL. I don't want to say that because I'm not sure if that's true. But Carl Carnahan did get killed by a drunk driver on Christmas. It was on the program. I'm disappointed that Bill didn't know that.
He didn't even know how his own coach died.
Bro, I did. I knew I had read that before, and then the way he reacted, I thought I was wrong. So, and then I was right. They're going to be really tough. Heritage Hills has some unbelievable big guys, and they're kind of solid across the board. They have a lot of really tough guys. Belmont's always tough. Belmont's really good, and this is their jam, man. They kind of love the 2A. Garrett's really tough. You guys kind of run that like little corner over there. Those guys are always pretty good. In that area. So I guess it is kind of cool to see some teams from outside of that I guess county to get in the mix.
Yeah, I will say
you have to come to your guys' home turf, right?
Yeah, I will say if you see someone walking around 2A team state that looks like me, it's not me. It's just John Goldberry. So don't ask about
They're
rankings. Yes.
I mean, I seen him at State last year in Evansville, and I didn't know who I was talking to, and they're both pretty good computers. It was uncanny.
Yes, I'm not. He's a little bit better football player than I was, just a little bit. I was JV All State. He might have played in the NFL.
I heard that they put you in, they would have won state for sure.
Yeah, yes.
Then you used to tell me that. If Garrett would have put you in, you guys would have been state champs. Everything would have been different.
You know what my nickname in high school was, right?
What?
Rudy.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being 1,000% serious.
I thought you were gonna say sweetness.
No, sweetness. No, Rudy. Because they would always chant my name to try to get me in the game. At the end of the game.
I seen on Nate Spangle's. If you guys haven't ever checked out Nate Spangle's TikTok, it's pretty cool. He's one of the coaches at Chatard. He has a pretty cool TikTok, and they kind of cover some stuff. And he said, Jet, Jet Goldsberry has the coolest name in high school football in Indiana, which he does. That's a pretty cool name. John picked a good name. Um, he might be the best athlete in the state, like for wrestling. He might be the best athlete overall.
Yeah.
Um, like he's really good in track and field. He's a really good quarterback, and he's a really good wrestler. It's kind of he ran into a tough ticket round last year as a qualifier as a freshman. Um, he might be the best athlete in the state. Like if we're picking someone in a relay race, I guess he's not going to get picked last. If we're playing flag football, he's probably not getting picked last. And if you're putting together a dual team, you probably want him on it.
Yeah.
So not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So 3A at Franklin Community. That one was some pretty good teams in there. And 3A, like we said last year, it was only 8 teams. And then we made a fun suggestion on this show. And all of a sudden, 24 hours later, there were 12. So,
yeah.
Power of the gorilla.
Lowell was unanimous. Coach English and the staff over there is doing a really good job. They have, I think, 5 pretty good freshmen in their lineup. Another freshman that's a pretty good backup. 6 pretty good freshmen in their lineup, actually. They added a returning state medalist who went to Illinois. Now he's back. He's pretty good. IHPO champ and Evan Stanley. IHPO champ and Noel Verduzco. Cameron Hazlett's a really good heavyweight freshman. I know his uncles wrestled at Calumet. They were pretty good. They're pretty tough. They won the Trikoff. Their scores could have been a little bit more wide. They forfeited once they locked it in. They kind of forfeited out. I don't know. That wasn't. I didn't ask them why they did that, but I mean, to each their own. They won. They won that event. That's a pretty good event. They beat a good Portage team they got in. They beat Franklin, who was the second vote in. They're a pretty solid squad. I've seen them a lot, and I think that they're going to make some noise. Now, do they have the depth of a Columbus East? We'll see. I mean, they have some hammers. They have some guys that are going to win a lot of matches, and they have some flexibility in their lineup to move some guys around. Dalton Robson. At one point, he's a 32, but he was beating all the 26s in the region. He beat Seth Aubin, beat Matthew Maldonado. Both those guys have medals. Evan Stanley's a guy you can kind of move around. He's really good. Verduzco, they move around. I know he's bumped up to 20 and Texas state ranked guys. I don't think he's had anything but bonus points this year. So they were the first vote in. Franklin was the second one. Coach Tante always does a great job. I got to see them at the Trikoff. I got some Franklin gear. I didn't wear it because I didn't want it to look like I was biased. But he's done a good job rebuilding up that program. I know someone asked if of all the teams that got in, like who doesn't have move-ins, and he said all of our guys are Franklin guys. I said, dang, man. Tante was the king of that back in the day. And those Parameridian teams had some guys that weren't Parameridian guys all the time until high school. So if he ever gets that going over there, watch out.
Yes. I mean, I don't know why.
If he ever gets Zach back in the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Johnson County, nice place to live. You got some country, you got some farmland. You can have, you're not, not a bad place to live. That's all the Center Grove
Get to go hang out with Big Jim. Yeah, good to go hang out with Tante. He wears nice suits.
Yes.
We talked about Greenfield Central. They wrestle a monster schedule, man. Coach Holden's done a great job. They're in the vote-in, but they definitely put themselves in a position that you're going to know where they stand when you go to the vote-in. They wrestle a tougher schedule early on as anybody.
I think they get I guess I don't want to say leeway, but they get some points, I guess, more for going after that conference. They have a brutal schedule, first half of the schedule. It's you're looking at who they wrestle, and it's like, whoa, dude. They've Columbus East, New Pal, Avon, Warren Central, Cathedral, Portage, Rossville. So they've wrestled a ton of, and I mean, they beat Rao, Kentucky, they wrestled Perry, Carmel twice, and they haven't shied away from any competition, and that's going to make them bet. Whether they get into team state or not, those kids are going to be ready for. I believe they go to Connersville. They're going to be ready for the state series. They're going to be ready for their conference. So whether they get in or team state or not, that's just added bonus, I think, for them. And they're going to be ready. They might come in with losses, but they're going to be battle tested.
Yeah, they've done that the last couple of years. They've kind of embraced that, like go find the competition that's on the cusp. Um, and then it came down to Bloomington South and Mishawaka. Um, I mean, there was a lot. That was a big debate too. Like obviously, those teams are a little bit harder to pull apart because you're looking at you know similar results and things like that. You're getting a little bit more of the same teams. And B South ended up getting the vote in. I sided with Mishawaka. I would say this. I was 0 for 4 on the vote in for the last spot. I'm not 0 for 4 overall. A lot of the teams that I had voted in early on were in, but the last votes I was 0 for 4, which doesn't happen a lot. And this it just kind of speaks to, like, if anyone's like, man, you could have swayed it. I tried, bro. I was trying to win debates.
Yeah, Bloomington South and Mishawaka don't. There's nothing common between them. So you're trying to go, well, they in Bloomington South wrestled Avon, Roncalli, Center Grove, some good and Modern Day. So those teams are all really good, and it's kind of hard. They wrestled a Center Grove half A, half B team. So their score with Center Grove looks really good compared, but it's just one of those things. It's hard to kind of.
That was the weekend. Similarity. Was at. Yeah, and like again, like you said, we're splitting hairs at that point, and I think that's the hard part. Mishawaka's always good, and I think they added there's some really strong individuals. I think Nick Freeze is a really good wrestler. I've got to see him. He's kind of shot his way up the semi-state rankings. He's in the state rankings. They have a couple state qualifiers. I think sometimes they view what you lost like that too. Like when you lose a Bo Brawbender and you lose Czar Walker. So, it's tough. Those are hard guys for any program to replace, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, you're kind of looking at, okay, who's gonna win more matches? And B South's tough, and they have some good younger guys. Jackson Jean's tough at 6. Obviously, Rowdy Bush is real tough at 65. Cooksy's really tough. So it becomes, if you're doing a duel, like hypothetically, it's tough. It's incredibly tough. It's a tough vote. Like I said, I went Mishawaka, and that might be a homer vote. I don't know. Like it'd be hard for me to say I was not swayed by my relationship with Steve. I think that I really like those guys. So how would I know if I was or not? That's not how I felt.
Yeah, it's hard to be not sway. I mean, when you're in that vote, we all have relationships with different coaches and stuff, and those coaches do too. So it is very hard to take someone that can not say, man, I really like Steve, and that hospitality room at Al Smith tastes really good, and I want to have that again. But no, it's one of those things. It's hard. You can't totally put that away.
And if I was the other way, I really do think Mishawaka's done a good job, and I think they're a good squad. That's not to say Bloomington South hasn't, but I did see Mishawaka at Trikoff, and I'm going to see him at Al Smith, and I see them more regularly than I see Bloomington. I'll see Bloomington South at Al Smith, and they might blow me away, and I might be like, oh my God, that was the right vote, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
I try to be as unbiased about it as I can, and I think like as a person in there, I'm going to hurt everyone's feelings at some point. I'm sure there's rankings that everyone hates, which is good for me. But that was a tough one. It was really tough. Mishawaka ended up being the alternate there. Both teams really good, really strong individuals. I seen that the Mishawaka people weren't happy with the vote, and as they shouldn't be,
Yeah, they have a pretty solid team. I know Bloomington South did add Cameron Meyer back from reports.
They did.
So that's a big ad. He's
state semifinalist.
Semifinalist, yeah.
Not
so
bad.
it's going to confirm. Yeah. So that's not a bad guy to have back in your lineup, and that's a guy that's probably going to get you a W in 95% of those matches at any level, really. So
Yeah.
that's a huge
And,
get. That
and he's mean.
yeah, yes. He's taking no prisoners, so that's a good one to
No
have. And
prisoners.
well, I guess you'll get to see kind of you'll have enough common opponents and stuff to maybe put together a duel between Bloomington South and Mishawaka this weekend, and well,
Yeah.
yeah, you never know. And like I said, it's splitting hairs. I think both teams are gonna, any of those teams are gonna compete well there. And I think three A is such a crapshoot of who's gonna come out, who's gonna match up well, who's gonna be wrestling well, who's not banged up from the Al Smith, who's
Yeah.
there's a lot of intangibles that a draw and some matchups and just getting on a heater at the right time. I love 3As. I mean, I like all the classes. They all have awesome storylines, but 3A just is so much fun because it's like, man, I don't know who's gonna win this. I think this team is, but then you see like last year, we weren't expecting much out of a couple teams, and DeKalb upsets the 4 seed or something early on, or I don't know, it's crazy. So it's a lot of fun.
I just don't want anyone to win and just yell in my face. I used to get that at the Harvest Classic, like preseason rankings. Like, man, like it hurts.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for you guys, man. But no, so it was tough. It was a tough vote. I don't even remember what the vote came down to, like number wise. I remember what the last vote came down to. So
yeah,
that one was a difficult one.
So
it's not that I don't like. It's not that I don't like Bloomington South. So
yeah. So the other 3A teams.
Because if I got to vote someone out, it'd probably be a team that was in. Nah.
Yeah. The other 3A teams: Columbus East, Floyd Central, Hobart, New Haven, Martinsville, New Pal, Roncalli, and Terre Haute South. So that's gonna be a fun.
If I could vote a team out, it'd be Johansson and the Brickies.
What did Johansson do to you?
If we could just pull a team out. No, I wouldn't do that.
Sather's still upset about some ranking. I don't know. You shouldn't have lost Friday night.
What
either.
He said IndianaMat shirts.
Yeah.
What is it? I didn't even. I had to look at the text message I sent Joe because I don't remember how we all voted the same. I was sending it as we were doing it.
Yes.
And telling him don't post it. Do it on the Dana and Rex show, please. Don't undercut the WZBD.
They need their advertising
the last
dollars.
part in 4A. The last spot in 4A was a 2-vote, and the first one was actually it was an 8-1 vote. It wasn't unanimous. It was 8-1. One person did not vote for me for either spot. I'm not going to say who it was, but they didn't vote for Portage in either of them. So I think Portage is pretty solid. I think they're as solid as a team outside of Crown Point in the semi-state, the East Chicago semi-state, like 6 through 44. 6 through 57, maybe. They're pretty good. And they close out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of got beat up by Crown Point. They had some guys outlined, and I'm not saying that changes the score. Crown Point's really good. I'm not saying that if they wrestled with most of their guys out. I'm not saying that it would have changed the score at all, but that score might have been tighter. Like they might not have been all falls, but they definitely wouldn't. It'd be probably similar. So.
Yeah, Portage was an easy choice. I mean, obviously looking at the list, I was like, yeah, they've had some solid results, and 4A is thin because of a lot less teams, and I think the cream at the top makes it look like there's such a far drop off to number 7, 8, 9, 10.
I think, and obviously 4A, there's a lot more. Of the top guys in the Brownsburg, Center Grove, Crown Point are going to have a good amount of the guys in the rankings. They're pretty good. I like to see a Portage and Avon meet up because I think that they're kind of strong in a lot of the same spots. I think that'd be an interesting duel.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's a match.
The second one.
Often.
No, the second one. That one was tough, man. It was the tightest of the votes. Honestly, it was one vote separated it. We had an off number, so it wasn't a 5-5. It was a 5-4 vote. Both teams really good. Both teams well coached. Zionsville got the nod over Homestead. Homestead's the alternate. And like I said, I was 0 for 4. I thought Homestead looked really good. I didn't see them against New Haven early on. And they, I think New Haven had beat a team in the voting pretty bad. And they said, well, New Haven would beat a lot of the 4A teams. And I was like, well, the top 3 4A teams, I don't think they're beating them. Like, maybe. But so I was trying to do the math, so it threw me off. But I thought both the teams, Zionsville always does a good job, and they're always solid. They're well coached. They got Jason Miller over there now, so that's a huge boost for them. Or that's actually a detriment for them. I should have said that. Maybe it took points away. But they do a good job. And Homestead did a great job this year. They put themselves in position for the vote in. They wrestled everyone they could. They're in the events that they needed to be in, and they made it a tough vote. And I think that's all you can ask, right?
Yeah. It's in someone else's hands. You got to do your job, and I think it's such a you pick like I said, splitting hairs, and both teams have some matches that you're like, and then they have some wins, and it's like, I mean, it's hard to tell which team's going to do better there. So it's a tough spot. I mean, it's a tough spot because guess what? You're wrestling Brownsburg. And then you're going to wrestle a very upset loser between Mater Dei and Avon, who are both really good teams.
We don't know the seed yet, but that's probably how it's going to go. We don't know that's true yet, right?
Yeah.
But
so it was. Yeah. I mean, I know, I'm obviously biased, so it's a tough. I mean, there's a couple things there, and you can't. That's a tough one. That is a tough one, and I know both teams wanted to be in, and I think it'd be first time for both of them. So it's hard to tell, and you're going there, and you're a sacrificial lamb in the first round.
Did Homestead beat Portage? That's what Nick said?
No. They didn't.
Yeah. I'm just wondering where they would have wrestled at.
Yeah. Mishawaka lost to Portage, but Homestead beat Portage. Okay. Oh, he's comparing the results from Portage and Mishawaka.
Yeah. I think that's a different. You're doing, like, that's tougher. Like, that's like saying, well, we lost tighter to Heritage Hills because we had better little guys and they had better big guys. Like, I don't know. It's a lot tougher to do the transitive property of wrestling like that.
Yeah. Wrestling is such a weird sport where you can get beat pretty badly, and I'm like, that's not that bad of a loss.
Yeah. So Portage, I mean, that wasn't even the voting. I thought Portage wrestled really good. How is Homestead not in? It came down to Zionsville and Zionsville got more votes. I mean, that's clear as it is.
Yeah. And
I mean, I would be willing to bet if we pulled the state and like in neutral areas, it'd probably be similar.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not knocking anybody.
Yeah. And you take off the names on the resumes and you're like, you're going to be, you're flipping a coin. And I kind of, looking at it beforehand, I'm like, okay, Portage is pretty much an easy one to get in. And I go, it's going to be between Homestead and Zionsville. I go, I don't know. Neither team made it clear cut that, hey, we are the clear choice here. And
yeah,
it's definitely an imperfect system, but at the same time, I think the voters try to get it right. I don't think there's bias in there. I think it's people are trying to get it right and trying to reward the teams that are better. So, and
I could tell you 100% there was never we like so-and-so better, or it was straight stats, straight cash, homie.
Yep.
And, and it wasn't like anyone was taking personal shots or anything like that. It was just straight up, like, Homestead was 20-3. They lost to New Haven, who's in at 3A. They lost to Roncalli, who's in at 3A, and they lost to Penn, who didn't have all their starters in.
Yeah, And I think one of the things that I looked at, the Penn loss 39-34. I think Penn and who was it? It was a Cathedral are probably about as similar as possible. And Cathedral Zionsville lost 36-26. The Cathedral's a little bit more better, and I think that might have been one of those that you could kind of compare and say, well, Zionsville is more
Yeah,
competitive. Cathedral, who's in the event, Penn is not. That kind of can,
yeah,
it's you're
it,
nitpicking and trying to find
yeah,
a reason to, and I'm sure the other guys on the committee were like trying to, how can I say that Zionsville's better than Homestead? How can I say Homestead's better than? What is my reasoning beyond, you
yeah.
know,
It
some
it
beyond
was incredible.
bias? Yeah,
It was the tightest vote.
yeah,
It was the tightest vote.
yeah. So
Um, and like I said, man, I thought Homestead did a really good job. They had my vote, but my vote only counts for one vote.
yeah,
And then, I mean, I think Portage. I thought Portage was pretty clear cut. They have
mm-hmm.
two losses. They lost to Lowell, who I think is really good. I think Lowell could compete at the 4A also.
Yeah,
I think people are going to be surprised when at the regional and the semi-state how good Lowell is.
yeah,
Minus like if something were to happen, right? Like if they get kids suspended or don't make grades, I don't know their personal lives. But if they run out the team that they have right now, I think people are going to be surprised how good they are.
exactly.
And they lost that duel 39-27, and they lost to Crown Point when they didn't have a lot of their guys in.
So the other 4A schools, it will be at Brownsburg. I will be there on January
I'll be
11th.
there.
Avon, Brownsburg, Center Grove, Crown Point, Mater Dei, and Cathedral. So a good field, adding Portage and Zionsville. Always a fun day hanging out there. So, whew, we got through
Yeah,
that. Do
that
we?
wasn't bad.
Yeah,
I didn't even
Carnahan.
get to see all the comments. I was looking at the stuff. Was there a lot of comments in there?
Uh, Here and there, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
so Carnahan.
I mean, Carnahan was pretty good invitational
Yes,
to
it
say the
was.
least, right?
Yes, yes.
This is a true invitational, right? Because we threw out some invites late and they got some
Yeah,
guys in.
yeah, dude. And I know we said it, but props to all those kids and those coaches that said, "Hey, let's take on this challenge." And I, we sent out those invites and like, are they gonna go and are they gonna go? I'm like, I don't know, maybe they won't. And pretty much everyone took the bait and said, yes, let's go. And so props to those guys that did that. And on a, it wasn't like we asked them in August where they could manipulate their schedules and they had time to decide. They had no time to decide here. They had like 24 hours, and Bill's texting us and, hey, have you heard from Cody? Hey, have you heard from this guy? I go, I don't know, no, but let's text him again. Have you heard from the, so yeah, props to those guys for taking the challenge on at a short notice. I know as a coach, you try to peak your guys for certain events, especially kind of right now for the Team State or Al Smith type events. And then, so they didn't have any kind of ramp up training or anything. They're kind of, I assume like a Delta is kind of trying to peak for Team State or Mooresville this kind of, a week later. So they're not, it can affect a little bit of how you're training and mentally, like, okay, this is one of the events I'm circled on my list, and all of a sudden, hey, we got this coming up. So props to them for getting after it and going there. So
Yeah, it was super short. I talked to Cape Stebbins' dad from Delta. They were able to get some guys there, and I think he said that they had to give up their senior night to compete in that because of the weigh-in, the allotted amount of
mm-hmm.
weigh-ins, which is pretty nuts. Like obviously, it's a big deal. They said he's a really good baseball player too. I mean, it's tough on your shoulders, right?
Yeah.
They said he's a really good left-handed pitcher. I was happy that the Indiana guys we kind of talked about before that aren't able to get to Ironman or those events was able to get into this. And you look at like Brownsburg won it, and I think that they were trying to handcuff it. They were like, hey, like Crown Point doesn't have their two best guys, two of their better guys. I don't want to say best guys, two of their better guys. We'll take two of our better guys and have them sit, and then we'll still go, right?
Yeah.
No Revan Dickman, no Jake Holiday or Hockaday, no Anthony Reinhardt, no Clinton Shepard. So they said, hey, you know what? If you guys are not gonna wrestle two guys, we won't wrestle two guys too.
Yeah. Yes.
And they looked really, really tough.
So I think 106 is gonna put some gray in your beard a little bit more this year. Can you explain how you're gonna rank that?
I'm gonna reach out to Coach Parrish at Contenders because he has a lot of those guys, and say, okay, who wins in the room? No, I don't do room rankings.
Send video of these guys wrestling in the room so I can figure it out.
Luckily, Giuliano Campo's been taking care of business. No losses, state medal. She's still number one. I'm happy. I know I took some stray bullets whenever I didn't rank Trayvon Ducky number one after Ironman, and he was in the national rankings. And then he took a loss to Case Bridge that Thursday after Ironman. Came back and beat him at Carnahan in a really good match. He's really good. Sammy Westfall had a really good week. He went out and beat Cruz Aweta, who was the number one in the semi-state. Goes out and beats him, and then gets beat by Reed Wicker first match of Delta. Reed looked really well, really good. I thought he wrestled really well. He's going to move up in the rankings.
Reed knocked off the number one seed in the second round, and then ended up sixth behind Bridge.
Yeah, they said the kid from Cleveland, Tennessee, has been on the brink of the national rankings. They have two really good 106 pounders. Cody Chittum's little brother is their backup. He was not in their lineup. I believe he's ranked in Tennessee also. He did not make it. I think he ended up being third. He beat Reed Wicker there, and then Bridge lost to a pretty good Hollywood Flossmoor kid, but Bridge is pretty good. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be. I'm hoping to get those out Christmas morning so everyone can open up the rankings as a little Christmas gift. But it's kind of messy.
Yeah. 106, I think, is just as you think you have some things ironed out, just. So yeah, that's the Ducking and Bridge, and they're gonna wrestle about 3 dozen more times this year. So don't worry.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah.
Ducky looked really good in the finals. He put it on that Marmion kid pretty good, 14-2. I thought he was going to get a tech fall. Yeah. He was going for the tech fall. I think that kid was just I think he was a Fargo All-American.
Jeez.
So a lot of the guys were Fargo All-Americans.
Yeah.
So a lot of Fargo All-Americans. He's a multiple-time freestyle champ in Illinois. Ducking kind of poured it on him pretty good. Trayvon Ducky, pretty good wrestler.
Yes. So 113, Case Bell. And dude, it's hard to say you're sleeping on a freshman you ranked number one over a returning state champ.
Yeah.
And I in our text chat, let's just post our text chat. There's some fun stuff in there.
For $9.99 a month, you can see the Joe and Mike text chat.
Yes. So, where do we put I think we are planning on doing a pound for pound ranking after Team State, because there's just a little bit of a lull for a couple weeks. Where would you put Case Bell in the pound for pound right now? Because he keeps.
Are you asking the people in the comments?
I'm asking us.
Us? We've kind of talked about it already. Yeah. I think 1 and 2 are pretty clear cut. I think you have to go with the two guys that have probably had the most state success already, and Revan Dickman, who just killed the Ironman, and Jake Hockaday, who's going to Nebraska. He's working on 4 titles. I think we said
Weaver's right there.
Weaver, right?
Yeah.
He's a Super 32 runner-up, semifinalist at the Ironman. And then who do we say was 4? Clinton Shepard, who's a Fargo champ.
Yes.
Fargo champ, and then I think Case Bell.
Yeah, I
But
would.
he's right there. I think
Yeah,
we're gonna do these rankings probably again at the end of the year. He could be number one, or not, I don't know if he'd be one, but he'll be higher,
yeah.
right?
He'll be the. I mean, he'll be right now freshman number one. There, I mean, or we do have Kressel in there too, right? Waylon Kressel.
Yeah,
So that's a
yeah,
pretty deep top six, and we're even leaving off a Nate Rio, who's pretty darn good. You're leaving off,
yeah.
yeah, that's pretty deep. And when you're talking about a freshman threatening to be top five pound for pound, and we haven't even gotten the 2 pound allowance, that's pretty.
He,
That's pretty impressive. And I'm like, after he did that, I'm like, dude, where how would we put him in here? You know, that's an honest question, and I think he's pretty good.
yeah, not that I know anything about it. Like if he stays for 4 years and stays healthy, it's gonna be really hard to beat him at any way he wants to go. Like I think the guys that are probably at that level, and I don't think he's gonna be as big as like a Shepherd. Like Shepard's probably going to 50. I don't know if he's gaining 40 pounds in a year. He probably walks around higher than 13, right?
Yeah,
But the guys that are probably at that level are going to be the guys in his room. Like he's getting probably the hardest push in that room.
yeah,
Pressel's right there too.
yeah,
Whalen's unbelievably good.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Cressel's a, you know, so there's a pretty good top six. You can just put them in, you pick them out of a hat and say, yeah, that guy's number one. But yeah, it's pretty.
the kid that he beat in the finals, Jarrett Smith, is going to Stanford. So congratulations to him because that's actually really a good school. He was I think he's like a 3-time Michigan State champ. He only had one loss last year in the finals of Brecksville. Close one. Carnahan checked last year at 6. He was a grappler gold champ last year. Oh, he was a third placer as a freshman in Michigan. So third 2-time champ going to Stanford. Pretty good. And I thought there wasn't a spot where I was like, oh man, Bell kind of dominated that match.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet that kid doesn't get dominated like that a lot.
No, not by a freshman.
No.
So 120. He had an All Indiana final, and Mason Gels.
Straight ended up 5th.
Oh, sorry.
And Jackson ended up in the round to go to the finals. He lost first round and wrestled all the way back. Was that the only Indiana guys? And we had Gafton Hodges, the Indiana guy, who's at Mount Carmel. And then the Floyd Central guys, Kate Jackson beat the Floyd Central guy in the first wrestle back.
Yeah. So
sorry.
Yep. 120 had an All Indiana final. Gavin Lewis, Mason Gels, real good match. Gels got a takedown at the end of the first period. Lewis got 4 near fall in the second period. And then Lewis got an escape in the third. Gals rode him for about a minute 30, minute 40, and then tried to take down late. And so it's 5-3. Good match. And Mason Gels had a heck of a. Mason Gels came in and did some work.
Yeah, he really impressed me. I thought, I kind of talked. We were talking through the day. He beat a Michigan runner-up. That was the 4 seed. Gels was the 5 seed, I believe. Beat him. Beat Chaz Robinson, who's really good. Chaz beat him at the IHPO. I thought he beat him pretty good, too. I think he beat him like 11-2, maybe. I'm not positive on that score. And then Robinson defaulted to him later on. And then he wrestled really good in the finals with Gavin Lewis. He's getting a lot better. And I know Garcia was kind of talking about it on the page, on the forum. He hasn't been wrestling that long. It's pretty impressive how good he is. Gavin Lewis, Aiden Bollinger was a really good match in the semis too. Overtime match. Bollinger had probably one of the deepest dumps. I was like, well, that's a good win for Bollinger. And then I don't know how Gavin Lewis ended up on top.
Go watch it. That's all I gotta say. That was he just used his momentum and somehow had the wherewithal to roll through and end up on top. And I was like, oh boy. When you said to go watch it, I went and watched it. I think we were on the phone at that time. Geez, that was crazy.
He hit that. I was like, that's it. and then like just kind of rolled through it and ended up on top. I don't know how he did it.
I'm
It's
sure
pretty good.
that's probably a Bill Hawkins technique, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Hawk trained. Uh, yeah, so we didn't have Dickman wasn't in there. They sat him that day. Um, so
And then what?
I believe he'll be back for Team State.
Bollinger was fifth, and that was the only other. And that's a tough weight class. And I was when Gals lost. It was 16-7 at IPO to Chaz Robinson. So you reverse that to 11-4. That's pretty impressive. And he's one that
Against the kids.
Yeah, you're gonna want to circle Gals as someone that can kind of make some noise and maybe bust some brackets come state time. I know he's gonna have to go through that Revan Dickman kid. So
yeah, and Hoist and
Royce Malone.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a decent decent
not
regional.
A bad regional.
I mean, it's okay.
And I'm sure there's someone I'm forgetting in there. There's someone that's like disrespecting me. That's cool. Like, I don't know who it is, but I'm sure I'll get that message.
Yep.
David Bowman from Monrovia, who is pretty good.
Yeah.
26, another Indiana champ. Really good semifinals. Gavin Gendris, Nate Rio, 1 and 2. Gendris looked really well, 7-1 victory. That was a really good match. Gendris got to his offense, which I think has kind of been in those matches that he's lost at state. I think that's kind of what slowed him down, is he's not getting to his offense. And he was able to. And I'm not taking anything away from Gavin either. I don't think Nate Rio got to his offense in that match. Gavin was getting to his offense. Nate wasn't getting to his offense. So just a really exciting match. Genders wins a really good one in the finals against Wyatt Lees, who I believe is a state champ in Michigan. He had a really good win over Michael Esteban. Michael Esteban was a runner-up in Illinois. He lost to Seth Mendoza last year. So that was a good match. Jensen Boyd had a really tough quarterfinal match. There was like a sequence where I thought he got a reversal and some back, and he didn't. He ended up losing 1-0, put him in the backside. Landon Haynes got teched by Gendris. Quarters. Did Haynes go 0-2?
Yeah, I believe so. No,
he did.
He went 0-2, yeah.
So, I mean, that's a guy that has a medal that didn't get a dub. I mean, that kind of tell you how tough the tournament is, right?
Yeah. So some of these weights are just deep, and it's like you don't even get to breathe, and you're back in the constellations. Like, okay, let me get a win under my belt. No.
So yeah. And then unfortunately, I mean, we kind of talked about it. Jensen Boyd was injured in the next match. I think he was on a takedown. It didn't look good. I wasn't on the mat. I told Joe, I kind of texted Joe when it was happening. You don't see them call someone's parents down from the stands to come to the mat a lot and think it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah. I was hoping. I obviously his mom posted that, and as I kind of started looking, how far away is sectional? It's about 6 weeks away,
yeah.
So you could conceivably. This is about the last weekend you can really have a fairly major injury and come back. And I was hoping that they could, patch him up and put some tape on it and make him, get him back. But that sucks. And luckily he'll have 2 more years, and he's going to be a title contender the next 2 years.
He was a runner-up last year. He's going to come back stronger. Great family, obviously a great wrestling family.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, tough. And it was tough, I think, for everyone there. I think the kid that was in that match, didn't look like he was kind of out of it. It was definitely not a good scene. Scary. I mean, and then Nate Rio ended up teching that kid. Nate looked much more Nate Rio-ish in that that wrestle back. Like where he kind of I think he's very good at getting people going opposite ways and getting to his attacks a lot better. And I was like, and I was kind of by his mom. I was like, yeah, that probably looks more like how he wrestles normally.
Do you think his
Um,
mom threatened to make him walk home if he didn't run it back to third with a pin and tech fall?
she was incredible, like, because you never know how he doesn't lose a lot. And she's been in the game. She's had some boys with some success, right?
Yeah.
Um, two boys that wrestled in college, UND and Tech, guys with multiple medals in that family. And she was incredibly calm. I was like kind of scared to go there because you just never know,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Some of those moms are kind of scary. You don't want to get put in air jail from what I've gathered.
No.
No. And you talk like especially
No,
like,
that's where you want to be.
no, no. So yeah.
And dude, she's super cool, man. She was like, yeah, like this is what we come for. We come to get these matches. We want hard matches, and like that's his first Indiana. It's his first loss. That's not Revan Dickman, right?
yes. Finally, on his resume, he has a loss that's not Revan Dickman. So,
Haynes ended up going, and then we talked about Boyd.
That's all for 20.
No Douglas, no Flynn Douglas in there. So,
yeah. So 132. No Indiana guys in the finals, and the only placer.
No, that dude from Michigan, pretty good.
Yeah, I believe he's going to IU, so we will see him possibly.
Yep.
So that's good to see.
He's going to IU.
Yeah. Bloom teched Landon Hawkins in the semifinals, so I can say I've honestly never seen Landon get teched, so that's pretty impressive.
No.
And
yeah, he was definitely finishing the shots pretty good and kind of didn't get into those roll situations. The kid that he wrestled the finals from Parkersburg was really good too. That Bloom, that Stephen Myers.
Yeah. So Hawkins ends up 5th, and you did have a Hawkins versus Sam Mosier in the quarters. Hawkins won 4-0. Mosier was one match from placing. So
yeah, a little 4-0 match. Just a very technical match.
Yes. 130.
Kissinger, I thought Kissinger wrestled pretty solid too. Was that the one? I thought he got a couple dubs. No, he ended up losing there too.
He got one. He won one, and then where did he fall back into? He went 1 and 2.
Then he lost. Yeah. Incredible. Like I said, man, it's a tough tournament.
Yeah. So 138. This one we could talk about for a while. Braylon Reynolds looked really good. He did really good, and he teched Tylen Thrine, which blew my mind there. And props to Thrine, he ran it back to 4th. Tough. He had to wrestle. Who's it? Which Allen is that? That's Donovan Allen's pretty tough from Marist.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Braylon Reynolds beat him tight 2-1. It was a good match.
Yeah.
Donovan Allen has a couple wins. I think he has 2 wins over Evan Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
One was at Central Regional. It was a pretty good match. He's pretty good. I don't know how they ended up seeding it because I thought he was a 3rd placer or runner up in Illinois?
He was a 3rd placer, and he won IPO. He beat that Charlie DeSena from Lake Highland Prep. That was I remember that match. He got like a crazy step over, put the boot in, and it was, you would need 1,000th on the clock to see if he had that in there, and it was close. I was like, oh no. He's tough. He was.
I think
lost.
In the regional, he go ahead.
He lost to Schaefer, I believe, in the blood round at Ironman. So who do you say he beat?
Yeah, 4-2. I thought he beat Zach Stewart, right?
Yes. Yep, he did. I'm looking at his profile.
Zach Stewart, who beat Jake Hockaday at Carnahan 2 years ago.
Who sees this crap?
He's really good. So, I don't know. Dude, not us.
Not us.
So he beats him 2-1 in a really good match. And Donovan Allen is hard to wrestle, man. He's like
Yeah,
short,
yeah,
stocky, explosive.
yeah.
He doesn't do a lot, honestly.
No.
And he's like, but when he does stuff, he does it really, really fast and hard.
Yes, yes,
So
and it feels like he
he's
does a lot
explosive.
less because he's so fast and he doesn't have to work. He goes so fast, it's over so quickly. Yeah, and that's what he did. I remember seeing that finals match at IPO. Now that I looked at it, I was like, he kind of just lulls you to sleep, and all of a sudden, I'm like, he's gonna lose this by 1 point, and then all of a sudden, he gets that takedown. So yeah, man, there's levels to these things, and you see Braylon Reynolds take out Thrine like he did. I'm like, oh boy, that's Braylon's tough. Braylon's real tough. And then he wrestled Mendoza in
And
the finals.
yeah, it was 2-0 after the first. Some good scrambles.
3.
And 3-0. Yeah, 3-0 after the first. And Mendoza's a machine, bro. I don't. He's a machine. Like he's unless you're Blaze or Forrest, like he doesn't lose to a lot of guys nationally. That's not those guys, right?
Yeah, dude, he gets less tired in the second and third period. As the that's all I can explain.
He just keeps going and going and going, and he's like hitting this dump, and then you're like, okay, stop the dump. Then I'm like, he's not gonna go for this dump again, and then he just starts hitting it. He's turning guys. He's really good, and they said he's a super nice kid, so
Yeah,
it's even worse, right? Like when you're getting beat up, and he's like the nicest kid ever. He's gonna make some woodworking thing for you.
yeah. Here's your second place trophy. Since you just got a medal, I'm gonna make you a thing that's like.
Man, they handed out these huge. Did you see the pictures of the champs? They hand out these huge canvas, like printed. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, was Bill out there
Ryan,
painting on there like happy little trees?
The kid that Ryan pinned in the quarters, I believe, was a Michigan sixth placer. Pinned him in quick. Like I was like, oh man, Ryan means some business here. Pin him in a minute.
Yeah.
Hunter Bannon goes on the backside, loses to Sessa. Sessa, Quentin Chef was a really good match in the wrestleback. Sessa lost to Burns, who just ran into a buzzsaw Mendoza. Wyatt Burns. Chef lost to Mendoza. Mendoza was cleaning house of Indiana guys. And this is no disrespect to anyone that wrestled Mendoza that day. It's going to be it'd be incredibly hard for any of the 38s in the stand. And I'm sure Evan Stanley got to wrestle every single day. And Joe could probably tell us how those went. But he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Chef and Sessa was a good one. That they wrestled at IHPO. I don't know if they did this year, but definitely last year. And then Thrine looked really good against Chef, 15-9. I thought he wrestled more his match than he did Reynolds. He looked like he was getting more fakes. Got to a lot more of his offense. And even in the Allen match, go watch it. In the short burst when they were going, those dudes had some really incredible scrambles. Not like the leg pass, like dive unders, just like how fast they were moving in and out of shots was pretty cool. Yeah. That Allen and Thrine match was really good, 12-5. I think he got a 3 at the end. I think he might give us a takedown and some backs at the end, actually. It was pretty good.
Yeah, and Thrine wrestled today, won the ECIC, so he's props to him for number one going as a lone soldier to Carnahan and going into a tough tournament, and then I'm gonna go help my team out, and I'm gonna go wrestle the ECIC. I'm gonna go visit the Mr. Patriot.
In the least disrespectful way I can say this, he looked like he's smaller than Donovan Allen. Donovan Allen's pretty big. I know that he's made scratch at 32. I wouldn't be shocked to see him go 32.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he looked more 32. I mean, obviously that's their choice. I would assume he probably feels 38's a little bit more open than 32 is. But I think that he competes at both. I was impressed. I was impressed by Braylon Reynolds. Braylon Reynolds, Mason Gills, Gavin Gendris were probably 3 of the Indiana guys I was impressed with. Sometimes you see those guys from out of state and you're like, that's another level, right?
Yeah. No, it's pretty crazy. So 144. Tommy Gibbs has kind of had a rough start this season. He's tough, and didn't have a good Ironman, then lost to who do you lose to from
Seth Seiler.
Seth Syra, and they were like,
I was surprised they didn't bring Seth Seiler to Carnahan.
yeah, maybe he had a cooking show or something to do.
That's what I heard. I'm not saying
that. Disregard. Cut that out. So yeah, Gibbs then runs it to the finals. A good day for him. Lost in overtime to Grayson Fuchs from
he's Detroit Central Catholic. I believe he's also a state champ, correct?
Yes, he is. Is it Detroit? I always get it mixed up because it's like I got corrected at IPO. It was Detroit Catholic Central.
Catholic Central.
They're Catholic and they are Central. They're not Central and Catholic. So yeah, and he had a good win over Logan Dawson, who was a fourth place finisher in Michigan. So that he had a good day there and had to come through a tough route to get to the finals, and that's good to see him back on track because we know he's really pretty darn good.
Yeah, he's super talented. That's probably closer to the wrestler I think he is than what he's kind of done the last couple of weeks. And again, I mean that with no disrespect. He's incredibly good. I think the tournament he wrestled here is probably the tournament he wished he would have wrestled at Ironman.
Yeah.
It looks like he's getting the weight under control a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a 50-pounder last year. Now he's coming down to 44. And everyone wants to be part of a really tough team. But those are kind of the tough team decisions you have to make sometimes to be in the lineup, right?
Mm-hmm. So.
On the backside, we had some Indiana crime. Haney over Kissinger by fall. Logan Haney's wrestling really good. He's coming up from 6. He's trying to put on some pounds. I believe he ended up – did he not place? He lost in the round of place. Yep. So
150.
Tommy Gibbs, Indiana rep.
150. Parker Reynolds ran it to the finals. He looked real good there. He beat Colin McDowell from Arrowhead Union, who was a fourth place finisher in Wisconsin. Then
I think he's going to the University of Wisconsin too.
Okay.
I think he's committed to Wisconsin.
Yeah. And then lost to Blake Cosby of the Cosby Show. He was a state champ from Michigan.
I believe he's ranked number 3 in the country, right?
It's not bad. Yeah.
He's pretty high up there. 0-0 first. Crosby goes underneath. I'm like, all right, man. Parker's pretty good on top. Gets away. Goes for a takedown. I think he tries like roll under, and Crosby just kind of caught him and packed him there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, he wrestled really well. Again, like a guy that's probably getting his legs back under him from a pretty massive surgery last year. Getting back to it. I thought he wrestled well at Ironman. He wrestled well here.
Yeah. So.
That match with McDowell, he was up big. I think he was up 9-0 at some point. And then McDowell's like, I'm also pretty good. I'm a D1 prospect also.
Yeah. So, and he was the only placer for Indiana. 157, only one placer. Mason Day brought home 5th. Pretty tough weight class.
I think, he lost a tight one on the front side 2-1 to the guy that made it to the finals. Then ran it back. I mean, it's tough for to see a Mason Day in there just because I think he's a 2-time qualifier and you got state champs from other states in your weight. It's difficult to measure that, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's just one of those. This is a tough tournament, and it's hard to quantify. Mason Day goes to Al Smith or Morrisville and stuff, and he's in the semifinals or finals. Here, he's not. He loses in the quarters, so it's a little bit of a reality check that hey, things are going to get better. But I mean, they know that. Brownsburg kids know that. The coaches know that. That's what they preach, and that's what they want to see, that competition. They don't care about pretty records. They want their kids to be pushed throughout the season, and That's why they're where they are right now.
Yep.
So 165 had a couple Indiana placers. Michael Major had a real good weekend. Very
Yeah,
glad
he
that
did.
he's another one. Called up Eddie. Ed said, "Hey, yeah, we'll go," and he brought him up.
Wow. And Ed was there, and the varsity was at McCutcheon, and they were hosting the JV tournament. So Ed was hanging out in the region.
He's going back home. So he had a few Indiana. He beat Robbie Leahy in the first round, lost to the eventual runner up, and then ran it back for third. Beat Griffin Van Tichel in the consolation semis. So, and Van Tichel ends up fifth. So Major did really well. And another one of those lone soldiers that comes up there, and major props to taking the challenge on short notice.
Yeah. Guy that's, and he's bumped up a couple times to get some tough matches. I know he's been up at 75, chasing some tough matches, and that's just going to make him better down the road, I believe. So, Van Tichel runs into the number 2 guy in the country, William Denny. He's an Ironman champ, or was he an Ironman finalist? Of Marist.
He was,
I guess I can
Ironman runner up. Just a runner up.
Pretty tough. Yeah, just a runner up. He's pretty good out of Illinois. Turn that back off. Go back in here. All right. Van Tichel ended up fifth place.
Yeah. So good day for him. He placing there, and Van Tichel's getting his feet underneath him from football, and it'll be interesting to see how he. I think he's pretty much in full strength, full mode now, and he'll probably have a really good Al Smith. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, he's pretty explosive. He's wrestling a much more fun style than he was last year. He's not just going off throws. He's kind of added that like good double leg that he had from football. I think he's an all area. I think he was like all area or defensive player of the year or something. They say he's like one of the best safeties that ever come out of Crown Point.
175, Xavier Smith from Fishers was fifth. And Xavier Smith likes to score points. Definitely a wrestler that is fun to watch. He takes that freestyle Greco expertise over into folk style and likes to score points. So he was the fifth seed, lost in the quarters, and then ran it back for fifth.
Wild match.
Yes.
That match is a wild match. You want to go just watch the last period of that Rod Owens Xavier Smith match. Pretty exciting.
Yes.
Rod Owens runs out of gas. I think he was playing possum. He almost let the score get tied up on cautions. He forgot to get to put your foot on the line. He get hit for a caution, get for a point. Like, complained to his coach. Did it again, got hit for another point. I was like, man, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone get hit for 2 cautions for not putting their foot on the line back to back.
Hey, just handing out points, man. Just handing those points out.
And then Xavier Smith went at him, and Rod Owens had a lateral drop hidden right in there. Pretty good lateral drop.
Yeah. So 190, Gunnar Henry ran to the finals and had him and Kowalski have wrestled a lot. They both were IPO champions. They wrestled in the blood round a couple weeks ago at the Ironman, and Henry was up big and just couldn't hold on to the lead. Ends up losing in overtime. Taking overtime, this was a little less lower scoring, and he got the takedown to get a little bit of revenge. And congrats to him. He's been right there, and that's a good win for him.
Yeah. Kowalski had a pretty exciting trip there. I think Cesar Salas kind of hip tossed into his back at some point. The gym got pretty loud for a second, and then he grown man Cesar for the rest of that one, 21-5. And then this kid from Marist kind of came out of nowhere. He beat Cape Stebbins. There was like a weird sequence at the beginning, and then Stebbins kind of went at. So Erickson beat Quarles by tech, Stebbins by major, was in that Kowalski match. That was a really good match, 7-6. Stebbins goes on the backside. Did he end up wrestling Salas? He did. Caesar ended up getting a tech fall, 20-5. I believe they wrestled at IHPO also, and it was a high scoring match, like 13-11 or something.
Nice. Yeah.
Salas runs it back to 4th as a freshman. Pretty tough. He's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah. And he's wrestling a big boy weight. That's not a easy thing to do, and he's gonna continue to get better. Christopher Quarles was 6th. That's a solid finish there. Cape Stebbins, Stebbins and Caesar wrestled. They've wrestled a few times, so they're gonna get to know each other very well.
I think, and we talked about this before. I think we talked about it at Iron Man. Caesar probably was able to like muscle some guys around. He's built pretty. His dad likes to lift weights. I think Caesar's pretty good at lifting weights also. So when you're wrestling guys that are 190 that are like 14-year-olds, it's probably a lot different than wrestling guys that are 190 that are 18-year-olds. So I think he's kind of adjusting to that process, and I think he's doing it pretty well.
Yep. So all the way up to 215 because they did some Michigan crap and started at 215.
They started with 215. I did confirm with Joe Clark. Will and Paul were both there. They're pretty big. They look huge. They are getting to go play a bowl game in the Bahamas, which I'm pretty jealous of.
Yeah.
And Joe said, right when my kids graduate, we start with 215 and heavyweight, huh?
Yeah. So 215, Caden Brewer runs it to the finals. Had a good day there. Someone tried to take a chunk.
Bro.
Yeah. The Marmium kid tried to take a chunk out of his arm. Got a little hungry mid-match, I guess.
Yeah, you don't get to see a lot of kids biting kids nowadays. They usually know that's illegal.
True.
Yeah, I mean, he heard that Caden's brother brought a peanut butter sandwich out to the state finals one time. He just wanted to see if he can get a taste.
Yeah, yes.
No, I was shocked, honestly. They're stopping the match, and then Caden was kind of pointing at his arm. I was like, that guy bit him? You know, you're always shocked, especially at like a kind of a national event to see kids biting kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that was you could see the refs were like, they had to discuss it, like, okay, he bit him, just confirming, like, this is what I saw, because it's not something you know what the rule is, but you want to make sure that you're like, okay, just want to double check that this is what I saw, it's what you saw, okay. So, yeah, that's...
I used to have a rule if you bit someone. I used to have a rule if you bite someone, you don't get ranked. That was a rule. I forgot someone broke that rule for me, but if I was the Illinois guys, I probably couldn't rank him now. You can't be biting people, man.
So a lot of Indiana flavor. Austin Reading 3rd, and Julian Burgett was 5th. So
luckily, he got that forfeit because that dude was out there biting people.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Didn't he would have had to wrestle Reading and Burgett. He was going to take a bite out of every Indiana kid he could.
I can't believe it. I still can't believe it, honestly. When was the last time you see someone get bit? I don't know if I've ever been anywhere that I was like, man, that kid just bit a kid, huh? I take that back. I did. In high school, I seen a kid bite a kid, but it's like inside of his leg.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, you're playing with fire there, bro.
Yeah, that's that's.
You got to know your positioning, or you're gonna be in a real pickle.
Yeah. So, yep. 285. Lucas Zimborski had a wrestle off with his former teammate in the finals, and I have not seen Zimborski wrestle, so give us a little bit of a lowdown on how he looked. I know he's a little bit undersized, and I know he wrestled Forrester, so that's a good ranking matchup there.
Yeah, that was 0-0 after the first. I would be willing. I don't think I have to. You're gonna look at him. He's not 285. He wrestled. He was a state champ at 190 last year. He's probably 230. He's very good on top. He's pretty good with his turns. He holds position well. He's pretty explosive. I think he's getting. Max is a lot bigger than a lot of people. Max is pretty big. He lifts weights. That was a good match. It was 0-0 to the first. Samborski got on top and went to work. I don't. The exciting. I'm not giving anyone a scouting report. The exciting thing about wrestling is he'll get a choice. He's probably going to pick top. He's turning guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Big Max ran it back to
You don't
third. Oh,
you don't see a lot of like big guys that are going to be legging you, and I'm sure like those guys are not getting legged in the room a lot either.
that's the Paul Clark mo. He put legs in people, and they like heavyweights don't know how to defend legs because they don't ever get
I'll go
put in
out on a
legs.
limb and say Lucas Samborski is a better legger than Paul Clark is.
Okay, I'll make note of that. I'll make sure to watch him this weekend. Heck, I might spend more time in the big guy gym the first day because there's a lot of big guys I want to see at Al Smith. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Not a lot of heavies. It was kind of weird. There was a lot of buys in the first round.
yeah. So pretty good tournament.
We
Long
didn't.
day.
Yeah, super long day. Hey, shout out to Bobby Jarvis, Floyd Central. He got on the stand. I think he was the lone Highlander to get on the stand.
That's good. That's a long drive for them from the totally opposite other corner. So,
Yeah,
man, it is 11:30 my time, the fast time as you call it.
fast time as they tell me.
So, we'll touch a little bit on what's going on this week, and that's some holiday tournaments.
Yeah, I see the Mooresville brackets already out.
Yes.
It seems that they turned their records in before the weekend. See a lot of zeros of guys that wrestled this weekend that kind of took some losses.
Yeah,
Not like being a jerk, but
there are a lot of zeros in those in those records. Period, and that's the reason you go to those tournaments, and
oh,
they're gonna take some. I guess before we go, there's gonna be some good matches there. A lot of good weights. Where I'm gonna pull that up here in a second. I can tell you some of the weights to watch, and some of the weights that probably to keep an eye on. 105, Kellen Schoaf, Reed Wicker. Some of the seeds are a little kind of crazy as far as, I don't know what they were using. Kyle Riley from Plainfield had a real
Kyle
good
Riley
weekend.
had a really good Columbus East tournament.
Yes.
He's had a good couple weeks.
Yeah, so him, Gavin Ash, Cade Jackson, Colby Robinson, 120, Bollinger, Isaac Ash, Nick Anderson from Hamilton Southeastern, Beck Doherty from Rensselaer, 132, Lane Horn, Sam Mosier, Charlie Hutchison there, so that should be a good one. 144, Kirshner, Avery Stanley, Chris Kassler, so 3 ranked guys there. Brant Beck at 157, and Carter Hutchison from Cascade at 57. Michael Major, Evan
Matt Beck did make 57 this week too.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big one. Michael Major, Evan Hamlin. I don't know if you talked to Ed what event Major was missing. It very well could be this event. I don't know how their schedule looks, but I'm sure they'll find something.
It's Tyler Sandusky right on the outside of the rankings. South Putnam, I see he's in here in the chat, undefeated.
Yeah, so that should be good. 175, Wyatt Davis, Coy Bender, James Hastings. That should be a good one. Oh, Perry's there now? Is Perry there?
Yeah, Perry's there too.
Oh, so they're not at Modern Day then. I did not know that.
Surprise.
So Cape Stebbins, 190, Sear Goodwise, Noah Sumner, Braxton Lewis. That should be a good weight class. Evan Lawhead, Ezra Frederick.
Ooh, Andy Warren in there too. Okay.
Who is he?
He's sneaking in there, Andy Warren.
Oh, nice. So Sean Murphy, heavyweight, Sean Murphy, Declan Guard, Terry Kenton from Ben Davis, who's pretty tough. So a lot of like really solid weight classes. Obviously, you're putting 32 teams on the mat, and I don't have that linked. you're putting 32 teams on the mat, and there's going to be a lot of good kids there. So
Yeah, and it's a lot. It's a good mix. Some teams from the South, some teams from Indy, some teams from the region. Not really the region, like Munster's from the region, but like the East Chicago semi-state. Not a lot of Fort Wayne love in there, huh?
we got
Delta.
Delta. Delta's about the biggest one. Delta is about the only one. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
I mean,
double check those
you guys don't
teams.
want to go to Gray's cafeteria, huh?
I guess not.
I
Let's
see.
see.
I
I
never
think
been either. I
yeah.
want to see that diner driving devs.
Yeah, the Fort Wayne people they like the Connorsville, the Spartan Classic.
The
So
Spartan Classic.
let's see. I have not. Oh man, I thought I put in the links to track wrestling. I guess that's what I'm doing tomorrow. So check on our
Christmas Eve. It's a Christmas miracle.
yes.
Today's
So,
Festivus, right? 23rd.
yes, it is Festivus. So where is
That's why I
this?
thought we should have got the guys complaining about Team State, not complaining. The guys were upset about Team State on. We could have them air out their grievances.
Yes. So yeah, we have quite a few teams. We got Carroll will be there. Cowan is at Spartan Classic. Easton Noble. The let's see, Heritage Hills is there. That would be interesting. Madison, Newcastle,
Yeah, because they had to
Northridge.
shut down the Cub Classic, right?
Yeah, uh, Northridge is there. Purdue Polytech is there. It says Inglewood. I gotta always, and they got Southern Wells. So there are quite a few teams there.
Yeah, you could have a showdown. Luke Reed and Jackson Bradley possibly at 44.
Yep. I was just gonna.
Is it still like is it still quote unquote like blind draw?
I think they kind of seeded it last year, so that should be
Cool.
interesting. Heather Crawl, Joey Warner from Carroll. That could be a good test for both of them. They both haven't seen ranked kids yet. Lincoln Parsons, Greenfield Central's there. Ian McVicker, who had a real good win last week. That should be a good one there. Jet McGuire, Tobias Bowling, Owen Ingalls, Chase Yant. Is Chase Yant back from the wedding? Did he go on the honeymoon with the wedding that he?
I heard that he was really upset that and they said it was like a wedding that had already happened and it was years ago and that they were just having the reception.
Oh,
So he was standing.
nice. Oh boy. So yeah, that's why he didn't wrestle this weekend. So Brady Volts, Ethan Rose. That should be good. 126 should be pretty good. Cole Vandy Griff.
I haven't seen Braden Voles in the no, he has been. That's not who I'm thinking about. I'm thinking of Braden Daniels. I haven't seen him in the lineup a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know where Union City's at. Only Union County's here.
You're not getting Union City results very often.
I'm actually gonna blame Rex and Dane for not getting me the Union City results.
Yeah, that's in their area. That's their regional. They gotta hook us up. They got Tylen Thrine, Gunnar Butt, Peyton Richards, Jack Davis. That's gonna be a good one.
I think there's a good little rivalry, Gunner Butt, Tylen Thrine rivalry.
Oh yeah,
too.
I think there's some comments on Facebook or something. I have to check that out.
They didn't like our preseason rankings. I heard that some people were unhappy with that, and there was they voiced their opinions.
Yeah.
On their social media,
yeah,
which you're allowed to do.
Add in Ashton Goney from Cowan, who's a really tough freshman. He's number 2 in our semi-state. So, and Mike says I'm not ranking no Cowan kids. So
he was in the rankings. He took a couple losses.
Yeah. So that's gonna be that will probably be what I'd consider. I mean, that 33 and 48 are probably the premier weight classes. So you got Bradley, Reed, Doss, Gabe Rose, Cameron Mikesell. So a lot of really good kids there.
Peyton Richard in there at 38.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, Jack Dave. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys in the top 10. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good weight class.
Not bad.
50, you have Sam Bustamante. 157, Silas Foster. 165, Roddy Biddle. Boomer Hester from Charlestown. Mason Thompson, Greenfield Central. That should be a good weight class. Xavier, 175, Xavier Smith. Cade Rickard. Dallas Plattner. And then 190, Chris Quarles, Nathan Schaefer. That should be a good one. This going to be a preview for Schaefer was a state qualifier last year. Colin Wetzel and Julian Burgett, Antonio Cisneros Rodriguez. So 3 ranked guys at 215. And then Big Max Amberger, William Glessing, Tyson Rui from Jasper. So that's a lot of really good weight classes here. I think Connorsville, we've kind of not talked about it as much, but I think that might be. I think there's some really good weight classes that we're going to be keeping an eye on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think that tournament's kind of benefited from like we said the Cub Classic. I'm not trying to joke on it, but they don't have it anymore. And I think some of those teams went to Connorsville. It looks like Mooresville really filled out their roster too. So those are both really good.
Yeah, so a lot of good matches, and I'm glad to see that there's a little bit more depth there at Connorsville this year, and that's gonna help everyone there. So I'm excited for that.
More diverse of the semi-states, right?
Yes. And
I guess East Chicago wasn't presented. Valpo was there. Coach Cook going to the Spartan Bowl.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to update the teams on this. Man, I got too much work to do. It's Christmas Eve. So the next one we will talk about, give a little bit of a preview, is the Modern Day Classic. And that's always a good event. And they bring in some teams from out of state, usually some Illinois or Kentucky kids, Civic Memorial, St. Xavier, Union County. That means the Rainey Brothers.
Shout out to Civic Memorial, though, man. Using track wrestling, they just wrestled Modern Day too, so I got to see that lineup finally.
Ooh, they're not gonna be.
They're probably getting cut out.
Yep, cut. They're just gonna. Nope. They're done. Trinity and then Union County will have the Rainey Brothers. They're pretty good. So that should be a really good event. You got Avon there. Avon, Modern Day, Floyd Central, Franklin, Indian Creek, Gibson Southern, Mount Vernon Posey, New Pal. New Pal's there?
Ooh, New Pal's there? They're not at Connorsville?
I guess not. Let me double check. Well.
So we're not going to get that rivalry match that we thought we were going to get.
Let's see. No, they are not there. Well, my website is wrong. It'll be corrected.
Gunner Butt, Isaiah Schaefer, though. That's exciting.
Someone must have just updated that. Did I not? Oh, there it is. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to have to update those. But yes, so no Gunner Butt. Scratch that. Erase what I just said. So, yeah, so it should be good. You got Tell City there. And some teams that, like, I'm kind of interested to see where they are at, especially for Team State, like Franklin, Mount Vernon, Tell City. So that's going to be very interesting to see there.
Ooh.
Dustin
McCoy, man, he might be the Adam Scheffner tonight. He's breaking Delta news. He said Union City doesn't have Daniels on their roster. Ooh.
Yeah. He'll come out. That'd be interesting. So anyway, where are we back at? We're at the Modern Day.
Modern Day?
Yes. So out in Walker, Case Bridge. There we go. Cameron Schofield. That's going to be a rematch. Yep. Peyton Shutley, Jude Heaston, Mason Gels, Blake Getz, Rio Henderson, Patrick Dowdy.
Again, rematch, overtime.
Yeah. Caleb Schaefer, Anthony Kessinger, Jack Richardson, Isaiah Schaefer, Justice Thornton, Quentin Sheff, Bo Jackson. Bo knows wrestling. Insert that joke
also,
for 4 years.
Did we say that New Pal is there, right? Gunner Butt?
Yeah. Did I not? Yeah, let me fix this real quick. I thought I did not add them. New Pal. I took out. Yeah, there we go. Now they're back in. I want to edit that. But yes, 130. Yeah, you have Gunner Butt there. So that's going to be a good one. Schaefer, Butt, Thornton, Sheff, Bo Jackson. I don't know what weight the Rainies are, but they're usually in about that range.
Yeah, 20, usually 26, 32, maybe the 32, 38.
Yeah, so that could make it even more fun for them. 44, Chase Stevens, Bryce Doss, Cohen Long, Landon Horning, Alex Planteco, Chase Klein. So that's a and Jaden Stillwagoner. That's a pretty deep weight class. So should be good.
Keegan Joaquin from Franklin Community in there too.
Yeah. 150, Seth Syra, Grant Volker, Asher Ratliff, Deacon Dressler, James Dozier from at 157, 65, MJ Morton, Griffin Larson. Morton is
No, Perry Meridian's not there anymore.
no okay.
They're at
Morton's why do I have Morton listed?
sorry.
I guess I have Morton listed as
He's at Roncalli.
he is at Ron. Okay, don't confuse me.
Yeah.
I thought because there's someone else that was at Roncalli, then Perry, then went back.
Well, he was at Perry, then went to Roncalli, and then I don't know. It's weird. I think he had a brother. So
yeah, someone else is back at Roncalli, I believe. You got Griffin Larson, Camden Bauman, Elijah Geyer, so good matchups there. 170, Landon Terry, Oliver Haylett, Connor Hoare, Drew Shepker, Corey Tante. That's going to be a good weight class. And these are some like the Evansville Memorial kids. We don't get to see a lot of matches against guys that are outside Evansville area, so that's going to be good for them. 190, Noah Terry, Caden Thacker, 215, Colin Wetzel, Ethan Schrainer, Kellen Fleur, Grant Stewart, Brody Heidelberger. That's a pretty deep weight class, 215. That should help you a little bit. And then William Glessing at heavyweight. So it should be some add in. Union County is a real good team too, past the Rainey brothers. So that should be a fun. It's gonna be a good tournament there.
Kentucky State champs, right?
Yeah. So that should be a good tournament. And then the granddaddy of them all, D.L. Smith.
Yeah, we got a pretty good seating committee. We got a pretty good announcer on the mic.
Yes, Mike on the mic, and
on the mic.
That's gonna be a fun weight class or fun tournament. We just started getting a lot of the rosters in there, so starting to do the seating stuff. It's gonna be fun.
What time does the seating meeting usually get over on Thursday?
I think it starts at like 6ish, so and it's hour and a half maybe. They have a lot of stuff you got to talk about and things like that. Let's see, and just things that you gotta where this is where you go in, this is where you go out, stuff like that. So I don't know. I thought we had.
Think we should do a Thursday breakdown, or you think we should kind of go over it now?
We could do it Thursday. I mean, I can do it from the hotel, and
yeah,
we can do a quick breakdown. But the main thing is we're gonna have rosters here in the hopefully next day, and we put it together pretty good. I mean, obviously we've talked about it. This is all the weights. You got 2, 3, 4, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14. That's all at 106. So, and that's going to be a
16.
Yeah. That one is going to be a fun one. That one's always fun to seed because no one really has true credentials. And it's all like, well, this guy's good. He has a good record. Like, nah, we're not. So that one, I think I want to do, I might pull like a Michigan. And we're going to start at like 120 where guys have solid credentials to seed on. And then I've lulled them to sleep enough after that. 106 and 113 will be easy to seed. There'll be no arguments.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah. Because these are some tough, they're deep weights. I think like, we kind of went over that a couple weeks ago. There's not a ton of like, oh man, 1-2 matchups, but you're going to have weights with, 8 or 9 ranked guys with medals. Always one of the toughest tournaments.
Yeah, and we're looking at seeds and looking at how do you. And the main thing is when you put in a seed for a kid, I gotta have a little bit of a backing for it, other than he's really good. I mean,
Yeah.
they do.
Well,
The coaches do know that. I mean, I don't need to say too much because if I'm putting a kid up there, and I did a couple of years ago, one of the first years I did it, there was this kid named Julian Weems, and Cody, uh, Cody, what's his name from
good one.
Goodwin? Yes, I couldn't think of his last
Cody
name.
Goodwin.
Yeah, no, they didn't want to see Goodwin didn't have any credentials. He had none because he missed weight at regional, and I'm like, he's good. And the ground point coach is like, I don't really care if you guys don't want to see him. And we tried to
Yeah,
get.
you have the chance.
Yeah, he had the champ, and Weems was the runner-up. Weems was unseeded, and we had him at like a 7-ish because they only seeded 8 now. Then we see 12 now, which helps alleviate some guys that are getting overlooked based on 2 losses because they wrestled some decent kids. And so I'm like, Weems is really good. He's a really good freshman. No, we don't seed freshmen. We're tough. Then he runs into the finals like, who was right? Who was right here?
And he's messed up people's brackets. You know,
Yeah.
same thing with I think that they were gonna not seed Cody too, right? And then at some point, I think someone said, "Hey, we need to seed this guy. This is we're being ridiculous," because they know that you're gonna be feeding your kid now.
Yeah, That I think we ended up like with Cody. It was he ended up dropping to like a 7 seed, and I can't remember who the number 2 seed was. All of a sudden, that coach is like, I think he's better than a 7 seed. Oh no, that's the fun stuff. Seeding me, it'd be fun to. I mean, I've been in so many seeding meetings now. They're fun, and it's same. We'll argue and bicker, and I'm sure, someone might send me a text of not happiness, but once the wrestling starts, we forget about it, and it's a part of it. It's fun. I enjoy it just because I get to, it's fun to number one have access to the rosters and stuff, but it's also good to use what we have built here to help make the Al Smith even better than it, and just continue to build upon what Coach Smith, Coach Snyder, Coach Sandifer, all those guys have built there. So it's really cool, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a great tournament, and so we'll probably go on Thursday night. Try to get on here and just do a little quick seed recap and give you all the drama and all that stuff. So stay tuned since I'll be in the hotel. Hopefully they have decent internet and we can stream. But we should be able to do that, and we can give you a really good breakdown on some matches because now brackets will be released, and then we'd be able to give you kind of circle some matches that we can kind of look at and say, "Ooh, these are gonna be fun." So and I might. I think last year didn't I? Did I kind of release the pre-seeds? And I know my phone started. I mean, and I might do that once I get the maybe Thursday before the seating meeting, kind of. And I like giving that out to the coaches so they kind of know where I'm thinking they should be placed. And these are not set in stone, but they're also a good gauge of, I think as a coach, I liked it because I would like it because I'm like, okay, they're placing my kid at a 6 seed. I'm not sure why I shouldn't be a 5 or a 2. Or, I don't know. And then I can be prepared to say, hey, why do you have me down here? Well, this and this. Okay. Or, well, no, we beat this kid. We have a common opponent or something over this guy. Okay. Then you're going to get moved up. So there's a lot of things like that. And it's good. It's going to be a great tournament as always. You got the voice of an angel on the mic. I mean, we just need to get Dustin in there for the mic in the big guys gym.
I know, man. I think we should. We got Dane there. Dane's basically a historian of the Al Smith. Put up a pretty good write-up. Yeah. Dane hasn't. He's like running Al Smith like he's running state finals. If you want to go hang out with Dane and between lunches, I think he likes the evil check. Make sure you say hi, buy him a drink, soda pop, please.
Yeah, and he'll be up in the perch. They'll be broadcasting on WZBD, so don't forget to tune in if you are not there. I believe they usually stream the finals, so the finals are always crazy, and yeah, it's a great 2 days of wrestling, and I'm glad that it's semi-close, and I'm glad that we get to be a part of it, and this is going to be one of the tough ones, and I'm excited to see some of the big matchups, especially like at 106. There's a lot of freshmen, and you're gonna get a lot of jockeying on who really are the better guys in this state.
Um, yeah, so I think that's always a good one. Rankings get broken up, so that's the weekends when the rankings take the biggest hit. So
Yes.
I always appreciate that one. Maybe they won't though. Not this year.
We have a ranking to do. It's getting late.
That's why I said, hey, let's punt on the Al Smith. We got this ranking to do, and I don't want to keep all these guys up all night because Santa's gonna be coming, and we don't want to ruin that for everybody.
Yep. Let me see. We are ranking the Christmas movies. So let me get this graphic here in the right place and not over our faces.
So do you count actual Christmas movies or movies that take place during Christmas? Because this is a big debate. This is the big debate that I've had with some of my friends. Now that the rankings thing's taken off for the show, I like to ask my family or ask my coworkers to kind of get a little bit of feedback. And that was one of the big things that came up. Are we ranking movies that take place during Christmas or actual Christmas movies?
Okay, so I guess give me some examples and I can kind of like
actual Christmas. Do I not do actual?
Yeah,
Christmas
well, I mean,
movie,
like,
right?
what would you consider? What's one that's on the fence that takes place?
Would you say Home Alone's a Christmas movie, or is that a movie that takes place during Christmas?
I'd say it's a Christmas movie. I think it's centered around Christmas.
What about Home Alone number 2?
Yeah.
What about? I mean, that's the Die Hard. So that's really the Die Hard.
Yeah.
Like one, right? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie, or is it a movie that takes place during Christmas?
It takes place during Christmas.
I'll
go on that fence, but it's, I guess, if you want to put it on your list, it'll.
And no one's now. Is The Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas movie? Or is that a Halloween movie?
Ooh. Man, I didn't know we were gonna have these kind of questions. You got to pose these questions to me earlier. Kind of both. It spans both. I mean, it has Christmas in the title, so it has to be a Christmas movie, right?
Okay, here's another one. So I'm just getting the creative juices flowing. Yeah. What about Gremlins number 1?
Gremlins.
Gremlins took place during Christmas. Remember?
Yeah.
Phoebe Cates' dad went down the chimney. He never came out. They didn't celebrate Christmas after that.
I have never.
Not Gremlins number 2.
I have never thought of Gremlins as a Christmas movie, but oh man, that's a good one.
All right,
that you stumped me there. I would say no, but at the same time, I'm probably not gonna. I mean, if you're putting that as your best one, that's a great movie. I love that movie. So
it is a great movie.
So okay, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. Number one on my list. Love it. It's my favorite Christmas movie. I watch it every single year. Makes me smile every time I watch it. Elf. Love the movie Elf. It literally makes me happy.
Yes.
It's one of the few things in life that make me happy.
I'll give you a funny Elf story. So we had like this first time babysitter when Rocco was really young, and he didn't like taking naps, still doesn't. But so he was into watching Alf, the alien that eats the cats.
Yeah.
And so we tell her, like, he likes to watch Alf to fall asleep to. And she put on Elf. Yes. So I am going.
That was a treat. Good for him.
Yes. So he got he was like 3-4-ish. So that was real good for him. So she's like, okay, Elf. So I am going to go National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Pretty good choice. That's a solid choice.
Yes.
My number
I have
2.
a pretty common theme, so
okay.
But just go ahead.
My number 2. Region Classic. Christmas Story.
Ooh.
Filmed about Hammond, Indiana. You can go to the Welcome Center right across the border in Illinois. You can do a mashed potato eating contest, change a tire.
Gotta
The
give
Gene, what's that?
gotta give some region love there. I mean that's hard to say. Uh,
Yeah, Home Street, man. Right there.
Rudolph, Christmas Story, Elf, Christmas Vacation with the Cranks. Jason, of course, Jason Leitch has Die Hard. I think I would be very disappointed if he wasn't. So I'm gonna go. My number two is Home Alone.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe just because
Okay.
that's in my wheelhouse of movies I kind of grew up with, and yeah. So
I mean, I like Home Alone too. I also like Home Alone. Not Home
yeah,
Alone 2, but I also like Home Alone.
okay. Home Alone
It's a
two,
very quotable
not
movie.
yeah, yeah. That one was a little overdone.
My number, my number three, gotta watch it every Christmas. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Love it. Makes me makes me happy.
Yes,
I like movies that around Christmas. I like to be joyous.
yes, that was a great movie. My number three is more traditional Miracle on 34th Street. Just
Man,
a
dude. I feel like Miracle on 34th Street is the most overrated Christmas movie.
oh man, I don't know. It just ah,
I was waiting for someone in the comments to say it too.
yeah, I, yeah. I mean, yeah.
No, no, actually, I take that. Miracle on 34th Street is not the most overrated Christmas movie. I actually just saw one that I like. That one's overrated. There's two that I think are overrated. You might pick one though.
Uh oh. Uh,
We'll see.
one of mine's already
My
on your
number four.
list.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not overrated. It's probably a classic.
Yeah.
My number four. What was it? Just had it. I just got to talking. Um, Classic. Shout out to my boy Dane. He texts us every year on Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life.
It's
George Bailey. You know that's shout out to my boy Dane. That's his favorite. Every year he sends us the same text. I love it. If I don't get it this year, I'm gonna be really sad.
my number four is gonna be Elf. So I'm on the same wavelength as you right there. So that was
Man, so there's a couple. Man, there's a couple that I really like. So, and it's like various stages of my life. I used to like those like stop animation, like Santa Claus is Coming to Town when I was a kid, or Charlie Brown Christmas.
Oh
Those
yeah.
were like classics to me. And then when I was like kind of like a younger, more mature, not all the way older yet, Mike, I really liked the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. But I'm gonna go with the one that I like the most right now, Vince Vaughn, Four Christmases.
For Chris, yes.
The scene where they're playing the like the game where they guess everything, and it's like John Favreau and his wife, the wife from Eastbound and Down, the best man. Like I felt like that'd be me and Kim. I think we can knock it out the park.
Nice. I've not seen that, so I cannot comment.
No, that's got a star-studded cast too, man. You're missing out. Tim McGraw's in there. Robert Duvall,
Yeah.
Mary Masterson.
Yeah, I will say my movie I'm not very good with movies. I did not grow up going to the movies. My wife always like laughs at me and like I never did that. We didn't go movies, so I didn't really get into them. So my number 5. Man, this is a tough one. I don't know. We were just watching Bad Santa. That's a good one. I'm looking at a list. I'm cheating. I don't know if I want to go with like you said, the animated Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because that's something we grew up watching every year.
What about Friday After Next? You see Friday After Next? What do you know about Damon?
Yes. On this list that I have, it says Edward Scissorhands.
again, a movie that's not a movie about Christmas to me. That's a movie that takes place during the
Yeah,
Christmas time.
yeah, I agree. So what do you think? Do you consider Home Alone a Christmas movie or around Christmas time?
I think it's around a Christmas time. I think it's a movie about burglars trying to break into a house.
Yeah, yeah,
Did I
yes, it
miss the point
is.
of that?
Yeah,
I mean, is that not what happened? I thought it was two bad burglars that couldn't like understand how to defeat a kid.
yeah,
That just
yes,
got a
yes,
bunch of. I mean, I walk and step on stuff all the time. I don't cry like a big baby.
yeah, yes. I, yeah, I can see. Yeah, it's not about Christmas. It's during Christmas, but you can almost say that for almost any.
But I
Yeah,
guess it has a Christmas meaning. It
yeah,
does.
yeah, and they are. It is revolving around Christmas. It's just not taking place. Yeah, because they're going on a Christmas vacation to Florida and they just forget their kids. You
Was
know.
it? Was it number two? Did they go to Paris?
Yeah,
Man, what was Kevin McAllister's dad doing?
I know.
Did he get to take his whole family to Paris?
Yeah, yeah. You're not just taking your family; you're taking all the extended family and everything. And
Taking that bully Buzz, taking Buzz with you, ate all the cheese pizza.
yeah, yes. So my last one. Oh man. Okay, what's on my list? I gotta double check what I have on my list. I'm going the Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, that's a good one, man.
Yeah,
I like that one.
it's a good classic. It was on the other night. I was watching. I like this movie. So
Man, I just watched like a breakdown that like it like said like if you watch the movie back, like you see that like all the elves and all the scenes that they were setting Tim Allen up the whole time.
huh,
That like it wasn't by accident.
I don't know. I'll have to, maybe I'll watch it again. So yeah, um, eh, yeah. I got called overrated on Merkel 34th Street.
No, the most overrated Christmas movie. And if anyone doesn't agree, that's fine. You can watch it. Go ahead and watch it. Your Christmas movie and ruin your life. The Polar Express overrated. Gives me nightmares.
uh,
I don't know why. The way the characters talk gives me nightmares. I don't like it.
I can concur. I do. I don't like that. It just it's weird. It just I don't like the plot. It's a weird plot, and
No.
it's hard to figure out what's going on.
Two. My second most overrated, and this is gonna be controversial. I'm gonna catch some smoke. Live action Grinch. Don't like it.
Live action
I
Grinch.
like I like I like animated Grinch. Animated Grinch is my one. I don't like live action Grinch.
Yeah. I,
There is some quotable lines in there. It's pretty funny though.
yeah. So, yeah. I'm just looking at some of these movies on this list. Interesting. I never thought of Edward Scissors. I mean, I haven't watched Edward Scissors Hands for a while.
Trading Places. Again, another movie takes place during Christmas. Not a Christmas movie, but I do like Trading Places.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy.
Bolden kind of hits it on the nails. The animation is kind of creepy on Polar Express. Yes, maybe that it's just a weird. I just get a weird. I like this doesn't. I watch it like a couple times and I'm like, this is just weird. I don't. Yeah, I don't know if it's animation, the plot. It's just kind of hard to follow. I don't know. So, pretty good list. I'll post that up here
Yeah,
tonight.
I think it's man. I thought about this all week. This is actually the most thought I put into any of our lists so far.
Yes. Should we?
I mean, maybe that makes it a bad list.
Yeah. Yes. We like off the cuff, Mike.
Yeah, but I had to get Elf. Dude, Elf is literally my favorite movie. My family knows that's my favorite one. It literally made me laugh.
Yeah.
Christmas Story, holding it down for the region. I feel like it's like one of those movies that changed Christmas. They play it for 24 hours. How
Yeah.
bad could it be?
Yeah. Yeah. So do
You
we
know, you probably buying Rocco BB gun. I didn't. You just won't.
No, I won't. So do we hint at what we're gonna probably? So as a heads up, we're trying to do Thursday after Al Smith's seating meeting, and then we're gonna have our next one will be Sunday night. Sorry, Rex and Dane, because I may be out of state for a few days. So we're gonna do Sunday
And
evening.
your wife doesn't let you do guerrilla radios on vacation?
Well, Monday night I will not be able to do that because I'll be on a plane. So, uh, So yes, that would be kind of hard to do a guerrilla radio. I don't think I know they have internet on most planes, but I mean I could, yeah. So anyway, so we will be doing it Sunday night to recap
Bro,
the
Dave Dasher
holidays.
ain't wrong. Year Without Santa Claus is a good one. He ain't wrong on that. That's a classic. You grew up watching those, right?
Yes, yes, that's a good one. That's a that one we did not. That's not on the list, at least from the early. From what I'm looking on IMDb. So, so
I,
our, go ahead.
no,
Yeah.
go
So
ahead.
as finishing our schedule, so we're gonna go Thursday and then Sunday. So just be a heads up on Sunday. Do you want to give them a hint on what we're gonna rank?
Oh man, we can. I feel like this is a very controversial subject,
Oh yeah.
and then there's gonna be a lot because we have a lot of generations that watch the show, and I think anyone that has buying is anyone that's right now generation not gonna appreciate the list.
Yes.
They don't even know about the good parts of the list that we're gonna do. Honestly,
Oh, they're gonna be like, what are those? And we're gonna do wrestling shoes. And we were having that's why we took so long on the pre-show. We actually got on early for a pre-show and we're talking about it. So we're gonna do wrestling shows next week. So or wrestling shoes next week or on
wrestling
Sunday.
shows are no number one.
Yes,
Radio, sir.
oh, yes, wrestling shows we are number one. There's no sec. That's 1 through 5, right?
I mean, yeah, probably. I don't know if any. I mean, I know the Data and Rex show is probably number four. We're probably two and three.
Yes,
One.
at least in Indiana. So, yeah, so we, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So, I'm looking forward to it. I will have our list, and we will have a special guest for that too. That he claims to be a shoe expert, and we'll see what he thinks about the shoes. So,
Shoe connoisseur.
yeah, so it'd be, man, do we need to ask like who's the shoe guru in Indiana right now, like the wrestler?
I don't know. I mean, there's been a couple. I don't know who the shoe guru is. We should probably ask that. Maybe get two.
Ooh,
Get two people to sign in.
I got an idea. So I have this like these new mic thingies, and I'm gonna ask kids at Al Smith, name your top shoes,
Ooh, that'd be good.
and we'll see. We'll compare
Yeah.
their lists. I'll ask. Maybe I'll just do interviews with the champions, and I don't care about your tournament or anything. Top 5 shoes right now. So
Yeah. That after the championship is nice, but like, what do you think is the best wrestling shoe of all time?
yeah, yeah. So I might just do that. That sounds like a great idea. Let's see if I'll do it. So it'll be fun. So yeah. So we will be at Al Smith. So if you're there, come up and say hi to us. I'll be roaming around.
I'll be on the big mic. I'll stop for a second,
Yeah.
but
And if you pronounce if Mike's pronouncing your name wrong, go and tell him. And we've learned a lot of new name pronunciations. So
yeah, shoot it out, man.
Yep.
I want to get your name as right as you want to get it.
yes, and that's something just like if the rankings are bad or not correct, Mike wants to correct them, so send him an email, or send him an email and tell him happy Christmas. So, but yeah, we hope everyone has a great Christmas. And Mike says we're gonna have Christmas Day rankings possibly, so that means I'm gonna wake up, watch some presents be opened, then come up here and make some graphics. So sounds like fun.
It's a Christmas miracle, guys.
And everyone is going to behave when I post the power poll, right?
Yes. I'm always hoping, man. I feel like I want to make a burner's Facebook just to comment on there.
Yes.
Someone beat me to it today.
Yes.
So.
There's yes, there are, it always generates comments.
Man, I love it.
Yes,
Actually, I love that. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, so but anyway, we're gonna get off here. It is way past my bedtime, so we will see you guys Thursday and at Al Smith and Sunday, and it'll be a fun week of wrestling. So good luck to everyone hitting the tournaments, and should be some good week wrestling. So we'll see you guys later.